This is 220115 SM. This is State of Michigan versus Penny Lynn Hensley. May I have your appearances, please?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Bryn Bailey on behalf of the people, E84009.
Your name, ma'am?
Penny Hensley?
Thank you. Today is the day and time set for the bench trial in this matter. Are the people ready to proceed?
The people are ready to proceed, Your Honor. I will just need to approach to have a couple of exhibits marked.
Thank you. And is the defense ready to proceed?
We are ready, Your Honor.
Thank you. You may take your seats. Well, Ms. Bailey's having her exhibits marked. Today's trial is one count of malicious destruction of personal property, $200 to $1,000.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, the people will be waiving their opening statement.
Thank you. Thank you. Your first witness, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, the people would call Eric Leinberger. That was a very big weather change.
It's Michigan. What do you want? Flip-flops and snow boots in the same week. Mr. Leinberger? Eric? Come up to this podium for me, please, sir.
Your Honor, maybe we press the mutual order sequestration of the.
Absolutely. If you're going to be a witness in this matter, you should step out of the courtroom right now, except for Mr. Leinberger. You're fine, sir.
And I would also ask for an exception for my officer in charge.
Always. You're going to state your first and last name and then spell it.
Eric Wayne Lineberger, spell it.
Yes, please.
ERICHWAYNELIONBERGER.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear the right? Do you swear affirm testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you much. You can come up here and have a seat in this purple chair. Marianne is recording your testimony, so if she can't hear you, I ask you to raise your voice or pull the microphone closer, okay?
Good afternoon, Mr. Leinberger. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so just a couple quick things before we get started. I'm going to be asking you a series of questions. I'm going to ask that you wait until I finish asking my question. Yes, ma'am.
Let me finish my question before you answer my question.
Yes, ma'am, that was where I was going with it. Thank you. And I'm gonna need all of your answers to be verbal, okay?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
need a yes, no, a or the accompanying head movements
Right,
cannot be gotten by Madam Court Reporter, okay?
okay,
If you forget, don't worry, I'll remind you, okay?
all right.
So, Mr. Lionberger, do you remember October 18th, 2021?
Hold on one second. Do you remember?
Yes. Do you remember August 8, or not August, October 18th, 2021?
Yes, ma'am.
On that date, did you have occasion to go um, near or about Harriet Road, south of King Street?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that in Huron Township,
Yes, ma'am.
Wayne County?
Yes, ma'am.
What if any?
On October 18, 2021.
I live on Harriet Street at 21395.
Okay, so you live in the area of Harriet and King.
Yes, ma'am.
And whilst on Harriet, southbound of King, or south of King, what if anything were you doing?
I was sitting in my front yard that day, going into the day.
And did something happen that day that brings you to court here today?
My son was coming down the road and Penny Hensley threw a rock at the car.
Did you see this?
I seen the arm motion, I didn't see the rock itself.
So how far away from Penny Hensley's home do you live?
Approximately 75 yards, I imagine, somewhere in there. Not
75
far.
yards?
About from this door to the end of the hallway in your courthouse.
Okay. So what time of day did this happen?
Middle afternoon, I don't remember the exact time.
And what was the weather like?
Sunny, it was nice.
And what, if anything, happened after you observed this arm motion?
My son come home and said that she had threw a rock at the car,
Okay.
do something at the car.
Hearsay.
Agreed, Your Honor. So without telling me what your son said, what, if anything, did you do after he came home?
He pulled the car in the driveway, we stood there and talked. And shortly after that, a police officer showed up.
Did you happen to observe the vehicle?
Yeah, he said it hit it in the back, and where I looked, there was a chip on the paint, on the deck lid.
Now, where on the back of the car was the chip?
On a Ford Focus, they have a brake light on the deck lid, and it was approximately 2 inches away from the brake light.
And was that paint chip there prior to October 18th, 2021?
No, ma'am.
And this Ford Focus that is in question here, who owns it?
I do.
And what, if anything, did you do with the vehicle after discovering this paint chip?
Nothing really. Like I say, the cop showed up because she had called the cops regarding my son evidently going too fast down the road. And when the cop got there, I showed it to him and he took a picture of it, went back down to talk to Miss Hensley about it, and she hid in her house.
Okay. So did you ever take the vehicle to be evaluated for damage?
Yes, ma'am, I believe it was Ford dealership on Allen Road. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I believe it was a Ford dealership.
And when you went to have it reviewed, was the damage by this brake light the only damage to your vehicle?
On the deck lid, yes, ma'am.
And once you took it to the dealership, did you receive an estimate?
Yes, ma'am, I sure did.
Would you recognize this estimate if I showed it to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, let the record reflect that the people are going to be showing first Mr. Nunley, what has been marked as the people's proposed one, and then I would ask for permission to approach the witness.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recognize what I've just shown you?
Yes, ma'am.
What is it?
It's an estimate for the repairs to the deck lid of the Focus.
And I want you to look at all 3 pages for me real quick, okay? Is that a fair and accurate representation of the estimate that you received from the repair dealership at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
Has anything been changed or altered in any way?
No, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this time, the people would move for the admission of the people's one.
Objection. It's hearsay. All it's hearsay. I don't have an opportunity to question anybody who allegedly gave this estimate about the reasonableness of the work that's necessitated, what other problems there may be with the vehicle. It's just hearsay.
Your Honor, it's a business record.
Well, it's not kept in the ordinary course of business. We're not fall under the hearsay exception to business records. Those are reserved for the easiest example, like bankruptcy, something that is kept in the daily course. This was created specifically for a creating an estimate for somebody for which they are later going to allege they are owed restitution. Without an opportunity to cross-examine the person who did this, it's an out-of-court statement being used in court for the truth. We don't have an opportunity to question the person who created this about the truth, the reliability, the accuracy of it. Doesn't fall in any exception.
I'm sorry, I'm thinking.
I understand.
I can move on.
That's your right.
Did you pay for the repairs that day?
No, ma'am.
Have you paid for the repairs?
No, ma'am. I don't have the funds to pay for the repair. I should be able to drive up and down my road without a wreck.
I'm sorry.
So just, there was no question, Mr. Lionberger. I have no further questions for this witness at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Nunley.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Mr. Lionberger.
Good afternoon.
How long have you been neighbors with Miss Hensley?
I've lived at 21395 my whole life.
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
I've lived in that neighborhood my whole life.
How long has Miss Hensley lived there?
I have no idea how long she's been there. She's been there since I was young.
Oh, so
I don't know when.
for years?
Yeah,
Okay, not months, but it's been a long time. Would you, is that
over
fair?
30 years.
Over 30 years. Is it safe to say that you two aren't very fond of each other?
Pretty much. Yes, it is.
This isn't the first time that you guys have had problems over the years that you've been neighbors,
First
correct?
time I went to court.
Okay, but it's not. the
First time here on township wanted to do anything about it.
Okay, it's not the first time you've had problems, though, right?
No.
Is it true that you guys have called the police on each other multiple times?
She's called the cops. I hardly ever call the cops. But
Hardly ever, but you've called the police.
I've called them once or twice.
Okay. And the day in question, what brings us here today, you didn't call the police that day, did you?
No, she did.
I know that she called them, but
No, I
did
didn't
you call
call.
the police that day?
Huh?
Did you call the police that day?
I just said, no, I didn't.
Okay. And you're alleging that she threw a rock at your car, right?
It's not alleged, it's fact.
Well, that's
I
what
mean,
you're
rocks
alleging.
don't just jump off the road and hit your car and
So you're alleging that,
that way. it kinda
you're
goes.
alleging that she threw a rock at your car.
I
Is
know
that
she threw a
correct?
rock at the car.
Yes?
Yes,
Okay. And you testified that your houses are approximately 75 yards away?
I'm not what do you call a guy who goes and has that little guy. I don't know. It's estimate. Hell, it could be 5 feet. I don't know.
So it
It's
could be
from
5.
there to there.
So it could be 5 feet or it could be 75 yards.
Like I say, I don't have a measuring tape to tell you exactly, but it's 3 houses down on the other side of the street.
Okay, and you're alleging that you saw her swing her arm, but you, I believe your testimony was that you didn't see a rock.
I didn't see a rock, but I seen her go just like that
Okay. It's
with
true
the
that-
other beer in her other hand,
With a beer in her other hand?
with a beer in her
Thank you.
other hand.
It's true that your son was traveling at a high rate of speed down the
No,
road,
that's
right?
not true. He was doing 25 miles an hour, just like it said on the street sign on our street.
Okay,
See, that's the thing. We do our the speed limit and it's always, we're going too fast, too fast.
okay.
I guess we're supposed to creep down the road for Penny Hensley.
Sir, may I ask a question?
Ask a question.
Okay. What year is your Ford Focus?
2010 or 11,
All right, so it's 10 or 11 years old.
something like that.
It's got some other damage to it too, doesn't it?
No, not really.
It doesn't have a dent by where you're alleging that the paint chip is?
There's a dent on the fender. You'd have to ask my son. He's the one who drives the car.
Okay. And it's true that it's also rusted out in the back there, like
No,
around
it's
where.
not. It's sitting in the parking lot if you can like go take a look.
Well, I think that the photos
Absolutely.
Does the court have a copy?
I do not. That's okay. You want to show Mr. Langenberger first?
You recognize the back of that car? Well, what is it that we're looking at? Why don't you just explain it to us? The back of your car?
Pretty much, yes, sir.
Okay. So may I approach again? I'm sorry,
Absolutely.
just one step forward. You see this part right here? Around the Ford envelope? Right here. You see that?
There's not a Ford emblem there, so that's a.
Okay, well, around the handle for the trunk, you see this part? Do you agree that that's rusted out paint chips right there? It's not rusted out. Okay, and where is?
She didn't need it. She hit right there.
Let me ask a question. Where is the paint chip that you're alleging was caused by?
I pointed to it right there.
You didn't let me ask a question. If I can ask a question. then
Well,
you
you
can answer
asked
the
where the
question.
paint chip at.
Objection, Your Honor. The argumentative.
I'm not gonna sit here and argue.
Let me ask a question. Okay, so you're alleging that this part right here was caused by a rust. And all these other, because you said there wasn't any rust on the car.
There is no rust on the car.
That's not rust?
No, that's not rust.
Okay, it's just paint chips.
It's where the paint chipped, yes, sir.
Okay. I need to add his exhibit. Well, these three exhibits submitted or marked currently as people's exhibit number 2, 3, and 4.
I have no objection, Your Honor. If the court needs to relabel them as defenses A, B, and C, I have no objection to that or their admittance.
I'll leave them as they are and they'll be received. Thank you, sir.
Okay, and you say that you haven't actually paid any money to have that alleged chip
Kind of
repaired.
hard when you only make when you're on disability.
Sir? May I
So
finish?
no, I haven't paid to fix the car.
As Madam Prosecutor said earlier, we have to try not to talk over each other. They're trying to record everything that's said. So if you would allow me to finish my question, I promise I'll give you a full opportunity to finish your answer. Is that fair?
Speak.
So it's true that you haven't paid any money for any repair for this car. Is that correct?
No.
I don't have any further questions.
Thank you.
Brief redirect.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, let's go back to the why you haven't paid it yet and that you haven't paid it yet. I believe you stated on direct that you couldn't afford it.
No, I'm on disability.
Is there an amount that you could have afforded?
Excuse me?
Is there an amount that you could have afforded to
No,
repair the damages?
my money pays my bills. I have $40 I usually out of my check, so $1,200.
I have no further questions.
Thank you. Sir, you may step down. Thank you for your testimony. Your next witness, ma'am.
Carl Leinenberger?
Do I have to go sit out in the?
You're done testifying. Is it okay if he remains in the courtroom, Mr. Nunley? Or would you prefer him in the hallway?
I don't know if people have anything for rebuttal.
Mr. Lineberg, I'll have you go into the hallway, please. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
State your first and last name for me and then spell it, please.
Carl Lineberger, KarlLionberger.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Come up here and have a seat in this chair, please. Mary Ann will be taking down your testimony. If she can't hear you, I'll ask you to either raise your voice or pull the microphone closer, okay? Your witness, ma'am.
Thank you. Could you please restate your name for the record?
Carl Lineberger.
And Mr. Leinenberger, do you remember October 18th, 2021?
Yes.
On that date, did you have occasion to be on Harriet Road, south of King Street?
Yes.
Is that in Huron Township,
Yes.
Wayne County?
Yes.
Did you have occasion to be driving a car on that day?
Yes.
And on that day, when you were driving a car, did something happen?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened?
I was driving down the street and Miss Penny Hensley was yelling like she usually does and had a beer in her left hand. I drove by and she picked something up, a rock obviously, and threw it at the back of my car. I didn't realize it till
So I'm gonna stop you right there. Let's take a step back. So why were you driving down the street?
I live on that road.
Okay, so were you going home?
No, I was going to help a lady on King Road cut wood.
Okay. And do you see Penny Hensley here in the courtroom?
Yes.
Could you please point to her and tell me something she's wearing?
A necklace.
What color is her shirt?
Gray.
And where in the courtroom is she seated?
Over there behind you.
Behind me to
You're right.
my right. Okay. Your Honor, let the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant.
Yes,
Okay.
So you indicated that Miss Hensley was yelling things. Could you hear what she was yelling?
No, honestly, I don't really pay attention anymore. I'm used to it.
And did you do anything in response?
Well, I got a call when I was down there after I arrived where I was going.
So so while you were driving past and she was yelling at you, aside from driving, what if anything were you doing?
Oh, I sped up a little bit to get away, and then that's why she called the police on me.
Okay. And did you ever stop?
No,
Did you stated that you saw her pick up something and throw it. With which hand did you see her throw it?
right.
Her right hand?
Yep.
Did you hear anything after the
Oh.
throw happened?
Oh yeah,
What did you hear?
I heard the tank on the. I've been in trouble for throwing rocks before at cars, and I know what they sound like obviously. So I heard it hit the back of my car.
And what, if anything, did you do next?
Wait, what'd you say?
What, if anything, did you do after you heard the tank on the back of your car?
I just went to where I was going. I didn't pull over, and then I got a call saying the police are at my house for me speeding down my street. I go there and I showed them what she did.
And what, if anything, did you observe about the vehicle that was different from before the incident?
Oh, the back by the Ford emblem, there's a dent and the paint was chipped
Now, was the dent there before or after the incident?
after the incident was there.
What about the paint chipping?
Oh, after.
So there was no damage to the back of the car prior to the incident.
No, ma'am.
What, if anything, did you do after returning home to talk to the police?
What I do,
Yes.
I drove down the street, pulled in the driveway. The cop asked me,
So without telling me what was said, you spoke to the police and then what?
I went back to what I was doing, went back to where I was cutting wood at, and then this is why I'm here today, I guess.
Now, the car that you were driving, do you own it?
No,
Who owns it?
my father.
And do you regularly drive it, or is it a shared vehicle between the two of you?
It's a shared vehicle between all of us.
And how long have you known Miss Hensley?
All my life.
And what, if any, problems has there been between your family and her?
Oh, it's not it's always problems.
Objection,
We're always fighting.
relevance. We're talking about a specific incident of an alleged rock throw. We're not here for any other issues besides what happened on October.
Well, Your Honor, I do believe Mr. Nunley opened the door in the cross-examination of my last witness, asking if Eric Lineberger and Miss Hensley got along and what their relationship was like. So he opened the door.
That information also went bias. For impeachment purposes for the defendant. Bias is always not on trial for anything that's happened. On trial for allegedly throwing a rock on October.
Objection overruled. You may answer the question, sir.
So what, if anything, was your relationship like with Miss Hensley?
What was it like?
Yeah.
We've always had, like, our families always got along and not get along, got along, not get along. In the last, like, 3 years, we just been going at it, like, always arguing with her, and we just want to be left alone.
And I have no further questions.
Thank you. Mr. Nunley.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon. Do you guys live on a dirt road or is it a paved road?
It's a dirt road.
Okay. What's the speed limit on that road?
The speed limit,
Mhm.
25.
Okay, so on the date in question, it's true that you were speeding down the road, right?
No, I wasn't speeding. I was going 10 miles per hour because I seen her walking down out of her driveway like an idiot. And when she threw the rock, obviously I sped up a little farther to try to miss the rock.
Okay, so your testimony is that you were going 10 miles an hour on a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit road,
Yep.
and that you only accelerated after she threw a rock.
Yep.
Okay, well, I mean, it's true that you were yelling profanities at her as you drove by her house, right?
Nope.
No? Remember talking to the police the day that they came?
I might have. Yeah, I remember talking to the police.
Okay, and when the police were there, were you truthful with them?
Yes.
So you didn't lie to the police, right?
Why would I lie to the police?
Right, you don't lie to the police.
Yeah.
So if the police were to write down that you told them that you drove by her house yelling profanities at her.
Honestly, I might have said something after she threw the rock, but I don't remember that. I didn't think I'd be here today. So I
Okay,
don't
well, you
remember.
told the police you did, then you told me you didn't, and now your testimony is you don't remember.
I don't. I really don't, though.
Okay, so you may have been
I
yelling.
probably called her the
profanities
B
at
word. I wouldn't
Let
doubt
me
it.
ask you this. When the police came to your house, it was how long after the incident?
Like 30 minutes, an hour.
Soon, right? So the incident was still fresh in your mind, right?
Yeah.
Would you agree with me that you probably had a better recollection of what happened that day when you were talking to police than you would now, some 6, 7, 8 months later, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I heard you testify that the vehicle didn't have a dent in it before Ms. Hensley allegedly threw a rock. Is that true?
There was no dent in it.
There's no dent in there, right?
There was no dent.
Okay. Well, again, you remember you talked to the police, like when they got to your house, right?
Yep.
And you told them the truth,
Yes.
because you wouldn't lie to the police, right? No. You remember telling the police that there was a dent in the vehicle prior to the incident, and that only the paint chip was fresh.
Well, on the door, there's the dent because the car was been in an accident before.
Yeah, nope. So you told the police that, you remember where the chip is in the back of the car?
Yeah.
You remember telling the police that that dent was there prior, but just the chip was new.
No, the dent was not there before.
Okay, so in other words, you were lying to the police when they were at your house.
How was I lying to the police?
If you told the police that the dent was already there and that only the paint chip was caused by the rock, and you're telling me right now that the dent was caused by the rock, then you're either lying to me or you were lying to the police.
The dent was not there. The chip paint wasn't there.
Okay. So in other words, what you told the police that day was false.
Well, me and my father talked to him.
Objection,
So
Your Honor.
Mm-mm.
He's assuming facts, not an evidence. We don't have any evidence or facts as to what he told the police aside from what he's testifying to today.
I'm asking him what he told the police. I'm asking him if he told the truth to the police.
Objection overruled.
Okay, so if you did tell the police that there was a dent already there in the vehicle, that would have been a lie?
can you repeat that, please?
If you would have told the police when they came to your house that day that that dent was already in the car, is your testimony that that would have been a lie?
I'm pretty sure it's in my report that the dent was there. Or it wasn't there.
Which one? Was there?
The dent wasn't there. I have it.
Wasn't there?
Yeah, and that she chipped the paint.
Now, you said it's a shared vehicle, right?
Yes,
How many people share?
me, my dad, my mom.
Three
I
of
gave
you?
it back to my parents after I fixed it.
Okay. So it's possible that that chip could have been there from another time, right?
No,
You always go behind the car and then check it for new chips.
I
and new
rebuilt the
dents?
whole car, sir. I know what was there and what wasn't.
So after everybody drives it, you go behind it, you check it out, make sure there's no new chips.
I
or
drive
dents?
it daily. I know what's there and what
Is
isn't.
that the question? After somebody drives it, each time, do you go behind and around the car checking it for new damage?
Not every time, no.
Okay. And you live on a dirt road, right? And sometimes when you drive on dirt roads, rocks fly up when you're driving on. Is that fair?
Yeah,
Okay. And again, you're testifying that you were driving 10 miles an hour down the road. And Ms. Hensley, for no reason, came out of her house and threw a rock at the back of your car.
yeah. She didn't just come out of her house. She was already in her yard.
She was already out of her house.
Yeah,
Okay, but for no reason at all, she just threw a rock at the back of your car.
yeah.
Okay. All right, I don't have any further questions.
Any redirect, ma'am?
No.
Sir, thank you for your testimony. You may step down. Your next witness.
People rest.
Thank you. Any witnesses, Mr. Nunley?
Well, first, I'd like to move for a direct verdict. The charge in this case is malicious destruction of property, $200 or more, less than $1,000. There's not a shred of evidence that even if there was damage, how much it costs. We don't know if it's $1, $10, $50, $1 million. There's nothing in evidence. So my argument is, even if we were to stop the trial right now, with the testimony and with the exhibits that are in evidence, there's nothing with which the court can make a decision. Because there is nothing that shows that there was damage more than 200, less than 1,000. Without any evidence, after the people have rested their case, there's no new evidence coming in that's going to go to a dollar amount. So there's no point in moving this forward to our part of the case. So that's my motion. We ask the court to dismiss.
Your Honor, my response would be to ask the court to find, it's a lesser included, would be under 200, which is, I believe, still a misdemeanor. It's a lesser included charge. And the court has seen and has heard testimony of damage, and that it would be at least $1. And I think the restitution amount can be discovered after the trial is concluded, if Your Honor finds in favor of the prosecution. However, it's a lesser included. And I do believe that the people have presented enough evidence at this time to establish that a malicious destruction of property did occur.
We would ask the court not to consider that. We haven't been talking about lesser included offense ever. We don't have any citing by the statute by which we can verify that there is a lesser included offense. What we're here for, the only thing that my client has had notice of was this charge. And there's a due process argument. You have to be given notice of the charges against you. Nobody's talked about a lesser included, just in case it didn't hit, the $200 threshold. We are here on one singular count, MDOP, over 200, less than 1,000. There's not a shred of evidence that even if it occurred the way that they alleged, there's not a shred of evidence that it costs $1 or it costs $1,000 or more. The court simply can't find guilt without any record evidence telling the court that an essential element of the crime is actually established. We just can't find guilt. So I would ask you to just dismiss.
Well, Your Honor, the owner of the vehicle testified that he could not afford to pay it, as he has only $40 to $41, I can't remember exactly what he said, it was a little hard to hear him, of income post bills. So, Your Honor, ergo, he could not afford anything over that amount to fix the vehicle. So the circumstantial evidence does indicate that it was at least at least $42 that the complaining witness could not afford to repair the vehicle. Granted, that's not, Mr. Nunley is correct, that's not 200 to 1,000, but it is a lesser included for the dollar amount. And that is what the people have proven. And I would ask that this court not do a directed verdict.
Two things very briefly. One, his testimony was he couldn't even afford it if it was $1. And they said he only had $40. Well, that's not 200. I'm unaware of a misdemeanor charge, lesser included, that is for a value that's under 200. I could be wrong, but I don't know that I've run across that in, 7 years that I've been doing these sorts of things.
You are wrong, sir. There is a lesser included under the 200, but the court will grant the defense motion for a directed verdict at this time.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything else on behalf of the people?
No, Your Honor.
Anything else, Mr. Nunley?
Nothing further.
Those go back to Ms. Bailey. Ms. Hensley, I won't lecture you. I'm sure Mr. Nunley will have some words for you. I'm not sure why people would choose to live with this kind of angst between themselves and their neighbors. It makes for a long day, it makes for a long life. And if the police are coming out there again and again because of a neighborhood dispute, that's just not a good use of resources. That concludes this matter.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you. Napier, plea.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Good afternoon. Did you not call? I'm sorry, he said you called his name, and I asked him, I said, did you call you?
He is fine. No, that face was not for you. You and your client are fine.
Oh.
You and your client are fine. It's such a bad storm. What?
Said that she wants to talk to the client, she can see her wave. She wants to wave on it. It's like, we have electricity downtown, she can't even get out.
She's not trying hard enough. I've been to Kalamazoo in the storm of the century. She can come on and wave. My Zoom is up. Call her and tell her to come on if that's what she wants to do.
Get on Zoom.
Whoever wants to, Zoom is up.
Okay.
If they don't want to drive over,
I think the police are clear on that.
the plea is clear.
I can do that.
And I think I scared Mr. Napier. I didn't intend to. I'm sorry. I was.
That's what I thought. Right.
But am I reading 250? Am I reading 256 correctly? 90 days, $100?
Yeah.
Oh,
This one's out here in the hallway, I worked in auto for many years, never getting out of cases, because they shut down. And I already talked to the head of the auto after the old. This is not how we charge someone who steals a license plate.
that's this case. Okay.
But I brought it down to what we usually do.
I read the cases and I expect the people to, it's fine.
It was way overcharged. is what I'm trying to say.
No, really?
I-
Miss
I
Gillis.
concur.
See, now we get power, people get cocky, I think is what happens. This is 220199FY. This is State of Michigan versus Jeremy Napier.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Brendan Davalsky appearing on behalf of Jeremy Napier, who's standing to my right. Mr. Napier, state your name for the record, sir.
Jeremy A. Napier.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, today is the date time set for a preliminary exam in this matter. However, Mr. Napier would like to forego his right to that exam and tender a plea of no contest to at least one amended count and count 4, which is the driving while license suspended. Is that what you'd like to do, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
You don't have to lean in. It's okay. Raise your right hand for me, please.
All right.
Raise your right hand.
Over here.
Do you swear affirm testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. You can put your hand down.
Okay.
You're fine.
All right, I'm a little nervous.
Why are you nervous? Mr. Napier, I'm like this tall.
I
Don't be
know,
nervous.
But and plus it's embarrassing. But, yeah,
No, if this is the worst thing you do in your life, this is not embarrassing. It's a hiccup in life, right?
it is.
Okay. You had a chance to talk to your attorney about the charges you faced this afternoon?
Yes.
And after having the opportunity to speak with him, you wish to accept the offer made by the prosecutor?
Yes, Your Honor.
You understand that you will be entering a plea of no contest, the unlawful use of a certificate of title, registration certificate, or registration plate,
Yes, Your Honor.
misuse of the license plate,
Right.
and no contest to the driving while license suspended.
Yes, Your Honor.
You understand that if the court accepts your pleas in these matters, you won't have a trial of any kind?
I do understand, Your Honor.
You won't have the opportunity to call witnesses on your own behalf or see and cross-examine witnesses put forth by the prosecutor.
I do understand.
And you're entering this plea freely and voluntarily?
Yes, Your Honor.
You haven't been threatened in any way, promised anything to get you to plead guilty? I'm sorry, to enter your plea of no contest
Have I been threatened? No,
or promised anything?
no.
Okay. And because you're entering a no contest plea, the basis for the no contest plea?
Potential civil, excuse me, potential civil liability. Your Honor.
And I'm sure you and Ms. Gillis had a conversation, the court may rely on the police report for the factual basis.
Yes, Your Honor.
So just so we're all on the same page, Mr. Napier, it appears that on March the 8th, 2022, oh, sir, hold on one second. I don't have a note in the file before I go any further. I'm looking at the issuing department is Van Buren Township. I'm sorry?
Fingerprints?
No. I'm married to an elected official in Van Buren Township. He is not involved in the day-to-day operations of the Public Safety Department. He would have no idea about your client, this case, this offer, or how this case is resolved.
I have no problem, Your Honor. I'm
Okay.
asking you to recuse yourself. Are you
Okay.
asking this judge to recuse herself because of a relationship with somebody in the arresting department?
No, Your Honor, I have no issue.
Thank you. On March 8th, 2022, in Van Buren Township, which is County Wayne, State of Michigan, Mr. Napier did use a license plate that he was not authorized by law to use and did operate a vehicle while his driver's license was suspended, revoked, or denied. The police report that is attached in the file bears out those facts. Mr. Dabalski, are you satisfied with the no contest plea in this matter
Yes, Your Honor.
with this factual basis?
Yes, Your Honor.
The court accepts your plea, Mr. Napier, as to count one, unlawful use, MCO 257.256, and driving while license suspended, count four, count 1, 2, and 3 as charged are in fact dismissed. As for sentence in this matter, there additional terms on the plea sheet indicate terms and conditions as set by the court. Was there any conversation at all with Ms. Gillis?
No,
She's not in here,
no,
but she,
I was just gonna ask for a fine omen based on the situation, but, you know, we didn't really talk about, I don't wanna speculate, but she's basically said, leave it up to the court.
she came in, I think she put her position on the record satisfactorily for this court. Mr. Napier, is there anything you want to say before fines and costs are assessed?
Then I apologize for what I did, Your Honor.
I appreciate that, sure.
He is-
So,
May I, Your Honor?
absolutely.
Your Honor, he is 49 years old. He lives, he was living in Romulus, however, he just moved. He's engaged. Unfortunately, when this happened, he was taking his fiance, he took the plate off another vehicle to take his fiance to the hospital because she was suffering from some pretty bad sores. You do not want to see the picture. He showed me that today. She is yet to be released back home. She's been released from the hospital, but she's in a assisted living facility in Westland right now. But he knows he made a poor decision when it happened. She was called the police, or excuse me, called 911, and they would have sent an EMS to take her to the hospital. With that being said, he does have 4 kids. At least 2 are in college. One's at Florida State University as a freshman. He's been gainfully employed at Ford Motor Company for the last 26 years. No prior felonies on his record. He's just trying to make better decisions in life. He's very embarrassed to be in this situation. We've talked numerous times on the phone, and he not only vows to myself that he's never going to do this again, but I would be shocked if he found himself in another courtroom for any type of felonious situation or any criminal situation in general. With that being said, he's going to pay his fines and costs. He will need just a little bit of time, but I would ask you to consider just fines and costs in this case only. Thank you.
What do you do at Ford, sir?
I'm a tool and die maker.
Really? Have you always been in tool and die, or did you start something else?
I actually started my apprenticeship when I was younger at Ford Motor Company in 2000. But I originally hired in as just a production worker and then completed the apprenticeship program, and I've just been a dime maker since. We
Worked
built
your
the
way
Ford-
up.
We built the Ford Bronco at Wayne Stamping and Assembly.
Which is a beautiful
It is.
vehicle. I look at it all the time. I cannot drive a Ford, but I look at it.
If you get a chance, you need to see the Raptor edition of it too. It's mind blowing.
Unfortunately, I live in a different household, so I'm not allowed to drive that vehicle. And I'll leave it at that. I just wanted you to smile because you looked so nervous when you came up here, and I felt bad because I was trying to do something else, but no, I appreciate it, sir. And I did read the police report, and I wish the absolute best for your fiance. The court will impose the following fines and costs. As to count 2, unlawful use of the plate, the court will assess a fine of $100, cost of $100, crime victims of $75, mandatory state cost of $50, and fund fee of $20, that's $345. On the driving while license suspended, the court will assess a fine of $300, cost of $100, $75 crime victim, $50 mandatory state cost, and $20 fund fee. That is a total of $890 if my math is correct. It sounds pretty close, Mary Ann. And sir, you indicated your client would need time to pay that amount?
How long will it take you to pay the 845?
Well, because of the parts shortage, Your Honor, we've been dealing with some layoff stuff. But I'm back to work now, and so generating regular income, I didn't know if there's like a payment, like I could pay each week, the next couple weeks.
You can pay,
Oh, I can do it within 30 days, Your Honor.
we'll do that. Now I'll put in the file 30 days to pay. Because this is a felony reduced down to misdemeanors, it'll probably take a little bit to get it processed. So I would suggest within the next 30 days, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Ms. Gillis, relied on the police report in the plea, driving while license suspended, and the unlawful use, fines and costs for Mr. Napier. Was there something else? You can't hear me? I'm sorry. No contest plea, so we relied on the police report in the file, assess fines and costs for the unlawful use and the driving while license suspended. Anything at all that you wanted to say in this matter?
No.
Thank you, ma'am. We're all set, sir. Good luck to
Thank
you.
Judge.
Have a wonderful
Thank
day.
You know what, Judge? It's nice to see you in person. I'm used to seeing you over the screen. And finally, in the last month I've been in Judge Oakley's courtroom and this courtroom, so.
They did a
I ran
great
into
job.
Judge Green out in the hallways.
You're gonna meander down the hall and take a look in there?
So, always a pleasure to see everybody.
Good to see you. Take care. Good luck, sir. Okay, so I don't know. It's in there. Oh, sorry. I put notes in there, but I'm kind of like,
I'm ready.
Did you tell Ms. New to jump on? Oh, wait a minute. That might have happened.
I don't know.
There are people in our waiting room. Yep. Hold on one second. You may be seated. I was. Good afternoon, Ms. New. Ms. New?
Hear me? Okay.
Yes, now I am able to hear you. Is
Good.
this Alexander?
Yes, Your Honor.
This is 210143FY, State of Michigan versus Alexander. May I have your appearances, please?
Jane Gillis on behalf of the people.
And Emily, Neighborhood Defender Service by way of Emily New, P85234 on behalf of Charlene Alexander.
Ms. Alexander, state your name for the record, please.
Charlene Alexander.
Thank you. This case was scheduled for a live preliminary examination at 1 p.m. This court received a note not too long ago indicating that Ms. New wanted to appear by Zoom, possibly for a waiver. Is that accurate, ma'am?
That is accurate, Your Honor.
Ms. Alexander, raise your right hand for me, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. You can put your hand down. You had the opportunity to discuss this case with Ms. New, including the charges you face and the possible penalties.
Yes, I have.
And you understand that today was the day and time set for your preliminary examination where the prosecutor would have to show that a crime was committed and that probable cause exists to believe that you were involved in the commission of that crime.
Yes.
And after speaking with your attorney about this, you wish to waive your right to have this preliminary examination?
Yes, I do.
And ma'am, you're doing so freely and voluntarily. You haven't been threatened in any way, promised anything to get you to waive your exam?
No, I haven't.
Any objection from the people?
No objection from the people.
Ms. New, because you and your client appear virtually, there is not a signed waiver form in the file. Do you authorize this court to execute the waiver on your behalf
Yes, I do, Your Honor. Thank you.
and on behalf of your client?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. The court has signed the waiver form. Ms. Alexander, the next step in these proceedings is that you will be bound over for arraignment on the information. That date will be June the 15th, 2022 at 9 a.m. at the Frank Murphy Hall of Justice. Your previously entered bond with any conditions is continued. Anything else on behalf of the people?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Anything else, Ms. New?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Alexander, good luck to you, ma'am. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Sir.
Thank you.
There's no clocks in these courtrooms. All the other courtrooms in the county have clocks.
I know there's no clock. It's 1:15. I keep meaning to bring a clock in and then it keeps making it to the kitchen table and then it winds up back somewhere else.
Well, I'm mixed up there. They used to have them in the back when they redid the courtroom from outside. I'm like.
I know, and I
"Change
keep
on
looking.
me."
Yeah, I wasn't using it. I'm using this one up here. Now we subjected poor Mr. Young to all this side conversation. 220071 FY, State of Michigan versus Young. May I have your appearances, please?
Jane Gillis on behalf of the people.
Good morning, Your Honor. Neighborhood Defender Services, Dr. Shaka Preston on behalf of the Young P 8015.
State your name for me, please, sir.
Ramon Young.
Thank you. Today is the day and time set for the preliminary examination in this matter. There's count 1, controlled substance possession of methamphetamine / ecstasy. Count 2, controlled substance possession of narcotic or cocaine less than 25 grams. Are the people ready to proceed?
We are ready to proceed, Your Honor.
Is the defense ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your first witness, ma'am.
Your Honor,
Oh, I'm sorry. Any preliminary matters, Ms. Gillis?
Yes, we have a MSP lab report, which is admitted under statute for exam purposes only, indicating that there's 2 containers tested. One tested positive for cocaine, Schedule 2 drug, and another container tested positive for methamphetamine, Schedule 2 drug. Like this exhibit 1.
Thank you, ma'am.
and Your Honor, I did plan to play a video. Should I just zoom in? I did try to zoom in to play the video.
We have HDMI cables,
Okay,
but you can zoom in as well. Dealer's choice.
okay.
Yes, please. I'm sorry. I'm sticking my hand out like that's the international sign. Any other preliminary matters, Ms. Gillis? Yes, ma'am. Any preliminary matters, Ms. Kirkland?
Nothing else, Your Honor.
Thank you. Kozowski, okay. I see him. I wasn't sure if he was standing there, if he was your first witness. Good afternoon, sir. How are you? Wonderful. Come up to the podium, state your first and last name, and then spell it for the record, please.
Corporal Chris Kosowski, Kososki.
First name,
Christopher.
common spelling.
Conway.
You swear affirm testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
do.
Thank you much. Would you come up here, please? Have a seat in the purple chair. Mary Ann is taking down your testimony. If for some reason she is unable to hear you, I'll ask you to either raise your voice or pull the microphone closer. Your witness, ma'am.
Corporal Kosaski, can you, I'd like to draw your attention back to the date of April 3rd, 2021. Were you working as a Romulus police officer on that date?
Yes, I was.
Okay, and did you get a call to 8,000 Merriman Road in Romulus, Michigan?
Yes.
Okay, and what was the nature of the call?
Narcotics in a room, I believe it was room number 423.
Okay, so did you go there with somebody?
Yes.
Who was that?
Officer Shank and Officer Cofield.
Okay, so you got a call from someone regarding this, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so then when you get there, do you talk to people who work, don't tell me what they said, just do you talk to people at the hotel?
Yes.
Okay, and do you talk to the security at the hotel?
Briefly.
Okay, and then do you review some records that the hotel shows you?
Yes.
Okay, and what was the purpose of reviewing those records?
Who was registered to room 423?
Okay, and what did you find out by looking at those records? What's the name?
Ramon, I believe it's Ramon Young, if I'm pronouncing it
Okay,
correctly.
and do you see that person in court today?
Yes, I do.
And what's he wearing?
He's wearing glasses, defendant wearing the blue collared shirt.
Record reflections identify the defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so then, after reviewing the records, and did you, by reviewing the records, obtain a room number too?
I believe it was on the registration. Yes.
Okay, so do you go to that room 423?
Yes.
What do you see when you first get there?
When I first walk out, the door was slightly ajar, maybe like an inch or two. It wasn't closed all the way. Heard some noises coming from inside the room and knocked on the room to get the person's attention inside the room.
You said that the nature of your call was narcotics, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so did you knock on the door?
I believe I did.
Okay, did someone come to the door?
Yes.
Who was that?
Mr. Ramon Young.
Okay, and did you have a conversation with him?
Yes, I did.
Did you ask to go in the room?
Yes.
Okay, and what did he respond?
I'm trying to recall exactly. It's been so while, but I believe it was, I would say no, but I know you are anyways, go ahead.
Okay, and you definitely said go ahead.
Correct.
Okay, and so who'd you go in the room with?
Myself and Officer Shank.
Okay, did you see anything when you walked into the room?
Yes.
What did you see?
Suspected powder cocaine on the nightstand between the beds. And also a couple other like bags of suspected cocaine.
Okay, and so what did you do next?
There was also a female in the room that I had exit the room, and shortly after that, we stopped and contacted our boss and let our boss know that, hey, contact Detective Bureau to obtain a search warrant for the room.
Okay, and was it a search warrant eventually obtained?
Yes.
Let me play back a little bit. So you get this call, and then you review narcotics, and then you review these records, and you realize it's from 423 with Ramon Young and everything. Did that coincide or match up with the call you got?
Yes.
Okay, so, okay, let's get back to the room. So you call and you wait for a search warrant,
Yes.
okay? And in the meantime, do you detain Mr. Young? Or did someone else?
I believe I did. I believe I eventually arrested him shortly after.
Okay, and then how long did you wait for the search warrant?
I can't remember. I know it was in the middle of the night, so Detective Bureau, detective had to come in and do the search warrant, so I can't recall.
Okay,
Hour or two.
okay, and then eventually, once you got the search warrants, what did you do after that?
Searched the room thoroughly.
Okay, and did you find anything else?
Yes, there was more narcotics in the room. There was a safe too that was closed. We ended up opening up the safe, and there was pills in there. It was suspected to be ecstasy, and then some other bags of cocaine and residue on some bags as well.
Okay, did you bag and tag all those things and put them in your property room to be sent to MSP?
Me personally, I don't think I did it. There was another officer that did it.
Did you observe
But
them do it?
it did go, yes.
Okay. And the stuff you initially saw that you based your request for a search warrant was out in the open, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I have no further questions at this time.
Thank you. Cross?
Yes, Your Honor. Now, is it Officer
Corporal
Kosowski?
Kosowski.
Corporal Kosowski? Okay. Now, Corporal Kosowski, you stated that you got the room registry from the hotel, correct?
From what I recall, yes.
Okay, and what exactly did that room registry contain?
This person's name who was registered to the room.
Okay, and did you ask the hotel for this information?
Say that one more time?
Did you ask the hotel for this information?
Yeah, I believe I did the front desk.
Okay, did you obtain a search warrant before asking the hotel for these records?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Now you stated you made your way up to the room, correct?
Correct.
And the door, well, you knocked, correct?
Correct.
And Mr. Young answered the door, correct?
Yes.
Now, you said that you asked Mr. Young if you could search the hotel room, correct?
Yep, somewhere, if we can come in and check.
And
Somewhere
Mr.
along
Young,
that
Mhm.
nature, right?
and Mr. Young responded, no, but you're going to anyway, correct?
I believe he said I would say no, but
But,
go,
okay,
he said you're going to
you're going to anyway.
anyway, go ahead.
So I wanna back it up. I'll play the video in a minute. Well, I'll play the video now.
Okay.
I'm gonna share my screen. I am on.
Here's the problem. Oh, sorry,
sorry.
Officer Brooks, would you turn that on, please?
I'm gonna establish it.
I'm sorry. No, no, no.
Oh, okay.
Because you're coming through Zoom, they can't see it. When you
Okay.
plug in through HDMI, they can. So I just want to,
Okay.
no, you're fine. I just want to make sure that everybody can see it.
Okay. Were you wearing body cam that day?
I can't recall if I was or not. It would be indicated in my report if
Okay.
I was wearing one.
Is this an accurate representation of the scene that day when you were at Mr. Young's door?
Yeah, it looks like Mr. Young right there and the officer next to him. I think that might be Officer Salazar.
Okay. Does this look like an accurate representation of the scene that day?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna play a little bit of it. I think I have to share my sound too.
You see anything? We come in and check. You got any drugs in here?
No, I don't.
Mind if we check?
I would say no, but I know you're gonna do it anyway, but yeah.
Is that yes or no?
Well,
It's a yes or no question, man.
because my daughter, I'm saying no, but y'all go ahead and check it. You're going to go check anyway, so.
What's your phone number?
17.
So is that accurate representation of the conversation you had?
Part of it, yes.
Okay.
Right, yes.
So, but the accurate representation of the conversation about the consent. Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I want to back up again. So you asked him, the first time you asked him, and whether or not he would allow you all to search, he responded, I would say no, but you're gonna check anyway, correct?
Let's go ahead.
He said that the first time? I can replay the video. Okay, I'm gonna replay it.
I Pretty sure I heard that.
Okay, I'm gonna play it one more time. Having a hard time with the Wi-Fi here. Okay. I'll move on if this plays, I'll return. But after he gave his first response, you asked, or you stated it's a yes or no answer, correct?
Yes.
And your purpose of that was I'll go ahead and play.
You see anything? We come in and check? You got any drugs in here?
No, I don't.
Mind if we check?
I was say no, but I know you're gonna do it anyway, but yeah.
Is that yes or no?
Well,
I heard him say it. Go ahead.
You heard him say it that time.
Mind if we check?
I would say no, but I know you're gonna do it anyway, but yeah.
Is that yes or no?
Well,
It's a yes or no question, man.
because I'm saying no, but y'all go ahead and check it. You're going to go check anyway, so.
What's your phone number?
70.
Okay. So my question is, at the first time you asked, his response is, I would say no, but I know you're gonna check anyway.
Then he said, go ahead.
So you heard go ahead the first time.
Correct.
So why did you ask the second time?
Why? Because I want to get some clarification.
Okay.
He was intoxicated on top of it.
Okay, so you asked the second time because you wanted clarification, correct?
Mhm.
And your question was, or your statement was, it's a yes or no answer, correct?
Yes, sir.
To which he responded, no, but I know you're gonna check anyway, correct?
That's, I would object. I don't think that's actual. I think he said, I would say no, but.
We're not gonna go back again.
Okay, that's fine. I don't have to replay it. He didn't say yes, correct?
He did not say the word yes.
Okay,
No, he
after
didn't.
you said it's a yes or no answer, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, when after the conversation about whether or not you all could search the room, Mr. Young was left in the hallway, correct?
Correct.
And he was with officers? Okay, and he was patted down before being left in the hallway?
I did not see that myself.
Okay.
I would assume another officer would do something like that.
Okay, do you know if he was cuffed?
Eventually.
Was he cuffed before you all went into the room?
I don't think so, but I can't recollect that.
Okay, was he free to leave before you all went into the room?
No.
Okay. Now, when you went into the room, well, let's backtrack to when you got the records from the hotel. You said that the room was registered to Mr. Young, correct?
Correct.
Were there any other occupants listed under that room?
None that I saw.
Okay. Does it say how many keys were given out for that room?
No, I don't think
No.
it said that.
Okay. Did you inquire about any other occupants in that room?
No, just who was registered on
Okay.
the registration.
Okay. Now, when you entered into the room, there was a young lady in the room, correct?
I couldn't tell if she was young or not, but there was no
Okay.
female.
Sorry, there was a woman
There was
in
a
the room.
female.
Okay. And you all ordered her out of the room, correct?
Correct.
Before ordering her out of the room, did you ask for her name?
I don't think I did. Another officer might have, but I.
So you did not. Did you inquire at all as to the woman's being in that room?
I think eventually, like after, because for our safety, I had her exit the room kind of quickly while we
Okay.
were inside.
So, and you said eventually you did. When would that have been?
I think after the search was done or the
Oh.
initial like look was done inside the room for our safety.
Do you remember writing in your report that that woman exited the room and left and you all were not able to find her after that?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so you didn't actually get to talk to her again after that.
Say that again.
So you didn't actually get to talk to the woman after you ordered her out of
I
the
thought
room?
you meant like me inquiring, trying to inquire who she was.
No, did you ask her, did you have conversation with her specifically?
No.
Okay. Were there any other adults in the room?
Any other adults?
Yes.
That's the only person I can know of. There was one female and there was Mr. Young.
Okay, and at some point while you all were searching, didn't a third person come into the room?
Toward the end.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And did you happen to get her name?
I believe so. I don't recall what her name was.
Okay, and that woman, she came to the room, because she was claiming possession of some of the things you were confiscating in that room, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And was she interviewed at all regarding this incident?
I think maybe just ask a couple of questions. I can't recall. Because I remember telling her she couldn't have her license or purse back. I think
Okay.
that's what she was inquiring on.
And again, you all let her leave?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I'm gonna talk about, some of the, you said that you found, drugs and money in the room, correct?
I remember drugs, if there was money, it would be indicated in there. I can't recall what money, if another officer confiscated that.
Okay. Do you recall finding an ID, for Hylia Clark on, in the?
I remember finding an ID.
Uh-huh, and do you remember finding her credit card as well?
There was a credit card attached or next to it. If it was one of the items, I can't recall
Okay,
100%, but
I
I
understand.
remember those items being like taken. but
Do
I
you
can't-
remember those items being, on the same nightstand as drugs?
I do.
Okay,
I do remember there was an ID and there was a card.
okay.
credit card, yeah.
Do you remember, a waste bag?
A waste.
A waste bag containing, some of the alleged drugs as well as identifying information?
I remember like a sandwich bag or small, is that what
Okay.
you're referring to?
I'm just referring to, in your report, you call it a waste bag, but.
I'm sorry, Ms. Kirkland, are you saying waste like trash or waste like fanny pack?
Waste like fanny pack.
Okay.
It was spelled WAIST in the report.
I would have to see my report to recollect.
Okay.
Memory part.
That's fine. But you are testifying today that there was, evidence that other adults had occupied that room, correct?
There was other material that was confiscated as evidence, yes.
Okay, and one of those adults even came back requesting some of, those items back.
Correct.
Okay. And at any point, do you remember Mr. Young letting you all know that 2 rooms were in his name?
I don't recall that.
Okay. I don't have any more questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any redirect, ma'am?
No.
Thank you, Corporal. You may step down. Thank you for your testimony. Your next witness.
Have one more brief witness, Your Honor.
Don't start. Was it? Oh, I don't know. He couldn't see. There's something wrong with the front camera. Good afternoon, sir. Come all the way up to the podium, state your first and last name and then spell it, please.
Officer Timothy Shank, Timothy, last name is Shank.
Do you swear or affirm testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear.
Thank you much. Come up here, please. Have a seat in this purple chair. Mary Ann is taking down your testimony. If for some reason she's unable to hear you, I'll ask you to either raise your voice or pull the microphone closer, okay? Thank you. Ms. Gillis, your witness.
Okay, Officer Shank, were you working as a Romulus police officer on the date of April 3rd, 2021?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you go to did you go to a call at 8,000 Merriman Road, a hotel?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and did you assist in? So sorry.
Did you assist?
Did you assist in the arrest of Ramon Marquis Young?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do you see him here in court today?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what's there.
He is wearing a blue polo and from what I can see, gold eyeglasses as well.
Okay, record reflects identify the defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you were, around the time you were with the arrest or detaining of the defendant, did you hear him say anything?
Yes, ma'am.
What was that?
While we had him detained, he had stated that he was under the consumption of cocaine.
So he just blurted it out?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I have no other questions.
Ms. Kirkland, your witness.
Yeah, sure. Now, you said that while Mr. Young was detained, that he was under the consumption of cocaine, correct?
Am I
Or
saying?
you said that he stated while he was detained that he was under the consumption of cocaine.
Correct.
Was this before or after the room was searched?
I do not recall.
Okay. You were one of the officers that searched the room, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and there were officers that were in the hallway?
Yes.
Okay. And Mr. Young was left in the hallway with the officers in the hallway, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Before you all went in to search, was he put in cuffs?
No, he was not in
He was
handcuffs
not?
before we went in.
Okay, and
I'm not gonna, I would like a clarification. It seems like they went in, saw some drugs, detained them, called for a search warrant, and then went back in and did a thorough search. So I would ask what time frame she's talking about.
okay. So when you all first initially entered the room, prior to first initially entering the room, you said that Mr. Young was not in cuffs, correct?
No, ma'am.
But he was not free to leave, correct?
He was detained.
Okay, so he was not free to leave.
He was detained for investigation. Yes.
Okay, is that a yes or a no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the statements about him being under the consumption of cocaine, were they stated directly to you?
They were stated in general in the open, not directly to me
Okay.
nor directly to anyone else.
Okay, but you were there when they were stated
Yes, ma'am.
and you heard them?
Yes.
Okay. Now, was did Mr. Young just blurt that out, or was there a conversation that was being had when he said that?
I don't recall if there was a conversation. All I recall is that he did state that he was under the consumption of cocaine.
Okay, do you remember exactly what he said?
That I don't recall the exact words that he said. I do recall him stating that he was under the influence of cocaine.
So you don't know if he was asked any question about?
I don't recall.
Okay, but you were there and you did hear, or you were apparently present for whatever conversation was happening?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. No other questions?
Thank you. Any redirect, Ms. Gillis?
But you heard him just blurt it out, correct? It wasn't solicited.
I don't recall asking him any questions, but I did hear him state that he was under the influence of cocaine.
Okay, I have no further questions.
Thank you. Officer Shank, thank you for your testimony. You may sit down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, we have no further witnesses. The defense has no witnesses. We would ask to move to bind the case over on the charges contained in the information complaint.
Your Honor, at this time, we object to the bind over. So there are a few issues here. The court got a chance to hear the conversation that was had about consent. And it's clear that Mr. Young does not say go ahead. It's also clear that the officer was not satisfied his first response and asked a clarifying question, requesting a yes or a no, to which Mr. Young responded no, and again followed it up with the same, but you all are going to search it anyway. And the officers went in and they did the search. But the conduct or possession has not been established in this case. Prosecution is arguing simply because the room was registered to Mr. Young, or one of the rooms that's registered to Mr. Young, that he possessed those drugs. However, there was testimony here today that there were multiple adults in the room, and that even there was identifying information, including an ID and a credit card, on the same night as those drugs. To which one of the adults that were not detained came back and requested her information. Officers did not inquire as to the other two adults as to whether or not they possessed or used those drugs. One of the women there, they completely just let go and actually never had contact with. Finally, with regard to the statement that the officer Shank just talked about, where he says that Mr. Young stated that he was under the influence of cocaine. Your Honor, there's not enough evidence. We don't know. He couldn't tell us whether or not that was a solicited statement, whether or not it was just a blur. He says he was present for the conversation or whatever conversation was being had. But what we did hear today on the body cam video is that when officers asked Mr. Young whether or not there were drugs in the room, he stated no. And just taking the evidence, what we know is that he told the officers that there was no cocaine. We know that one of the officers testified that he said that he was under the influence of cocaine, Your Honor. I don't think that there's not enough evidence right now stating that that statement was actually given or that it was valid and it was not solicited. So Your Honor, we object to the record.
Ms. Gillis.
To register for a room, you have to show proper ID. Register, rented the room for the night. What I heard is the officer asked him twice. I would say no, but he didn't actually say no. He said, I would say no, but first time I heard him say, but yeah. And then it was muffled. And then the second time it became muffled again. I would say no. So, he never gives a clear answer. They walk in, they see drugs, they get a search warrant. I think everything they did was proper, and I think there's enough for probable cause. If she wants to bring that issue up on a circuit court level, I think it'd be appropriate there, but I think I've shown enough that there was crime committed and probable cause exists to charge this man.
Yes, Your Honor. I mean, I wouldn't. Minor prosecutor just said that there wasn't a clear answer, and I would agree that there was not a clear answer. And they would need a clear answer to establish this and to actually search.
Anything else?
I think you need to listen to it with headphones on and hear more. But anyways, I think I have enough for probable cause.
The court had the chance to listen to Corporal Kosaski and Officer Shank, and for purposes of this court's preliminary examination, the people have met their burden. Mr. Young would be bound over to circuit court as charged. The next step in these proceedings, sir, will be an arraignment on the information, which will occur on June 15, 2022 at 9 a.m. Frank Murphy. Your bond, as previously entered, will continue. Anything else on behalf of the people?
Nothing, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
Anything else, Ms. Kirkland?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Gillis, I'll see you back at 2. Somebody. You want your fine now?
Oh, I'll bring in a big one, okay?
That's fine. I'll see you all at 2:30.
Thank you, ma'am.
Great place. Last time I was in here, do you know a guy named Victor Carvelis? Well, obviously, I don't have to tell you what happened there, but Victor asked me to sit in on his son's exam, not to help his son, but just to, what a story, man. You're familiar with that, right? It's unbelievable. Actually, you called me yesterday. Victor did? No, when you called me, I was saying with Jeff Wood. Okay, big Jeff. I love Jeff. He's like, man, he's football. He sure is. Well, you know, I changed so much. I'm a lot softer now than I used to be. I don't regret anything. Oh, yeah. Hey, Judge.
Hello.
Hello.
Sitting on the wrong side. I was like, wait a
Are we?
minute.
We're trying to sit with the good people.
Stay where you are, though. They told me Jane's not coming in.
Gotcha.
I saw you on the hallway 20 minutes ago.
Yeah. Hey there. Hi, excellent, thank you. You mean we're not ready for a 4 or 5 hour exam today?
I'm
You don't
ready.
have any of those today, do you?
Exams?
Well, extended exams.
I hope not. The last one's at 2:30, so,
Gotcha.
and it's already been quite the day. I didn't think that storm was that bad. This is 220224 FY, State of Michigan versus Dennis Bowles. May I have your appearances, please?
Your Honor, good afternoon. May it please the court. James W. Murray, P48047. I represent Mr. Bowles, who's here.
Dennis Dewey Bowles.
Thank you. Today is the day and time set for the preliminary examination of this matter. The court has received a plea form signed by the parties that indicates that Mr. Bowles will be entering a plea of guilty to an added count to receiving and concealing $200 to $1,000. That count one will be dismissed and that the defendant will pay restitution of $945. And once that amount is paid, probation can be closed, other terms to be set by the court. Is that the extent of your plea agreement, Mr. Murray?
It should be a no contest plea. Ms. Gillis must have, she doesn't object to it, but she may not have put it on based on your reading and our signatures.
It's not written as no contest anywhere on the form, but if that's your agreement. Mr. Bowles, raise your right hand for me. Do you swear affirm testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. You put your hand down. Mr. Bowles, you understand that you are here this afternoon for a preliminary examination?
Yes.
That you've had the opportunity to discuss your case with your attorney and there has been a plea agreement reached in this file? You understand that the court accepts your plea this afternoon. You will not have a trial of any kind?
Yes.
You will not have the opportunity to present witnesses on your own behalf or see and cross-examine witnesses put forth by the prosecutor?
Yes.
And sir, you're entering this plea freely and voluntarily?
Yes.
You haven't been threatened in any way, promised anything?
No.
Because this is a no contest plea, Mr. Murray, the basis for the no contest, please.
It would be potential civil liability.
Thank you. Because this is a no contest plea, Mr. Bowles, do you object to the court relying on the police report in this matter for the factual basis?
No.
It appears that on January 15, 2022, in Huron Township, County of Wayne, State of Michigan, Mr. Bowles did in fact receive and conceal, that he did buy, receive, purchase, or aid in the concealment of a red McLander open car hauler trailer, stolen, embezzled, or converted. And the value of the property was greater than $200 and less than $1,000. Is that the accurate factual basis, Mr. Murray,
It is.
for the no contest plea in this matter? And Mr. Bowles, that is in fact how you wish to resolve this matter.
Yes. And Your Honor, I would inform the court that obviously I'd worked with the assistant prosecuting attorney on resolving the case prior to today. And so I did inform Mr. Bowles to bring the full restitution called for in the plea agreement with him. And once you dismiss us from the courtroom, he intends, with the court's permission, to pay that money into, I guess, the clerk of the court. And they'll send that restitution check to the complainant.
Thank you. And this is perfect timing, Ms. Gillis. The plea agreement indicates a delayed sentence, but I do not see a period of time. Was there any discussion or agreement about the length?
Period of time would be as fast as he can get the money paid unless the court wants otherwise.
Well, Mr. Murray has indicated to this court that he advised his client to bring the $945 today. So if he has that, this court is inclined to just set a very brief period of delay, assess minimal cost in this matter, and then we call the matter resolved.
That's fine with me. I came into inquire to make sure that the profile has the proper address of the victim, the trailer owner. And if you're writing a money order, you should put the case number.
Who's depositing currency with the clerk of the court?
Okay.
So make sure you have a case number.
So this is delayed under 7711. Any objection to 3 months of delay, Mr. Murray?
I like 3 days better, Your Honor.
Miss, I don't have a preference, but if you're talking about the 945, I don't know, do you?
I totally don't care as long after the 945 is been paid, but I know there's some additional costs too.
Yes, I mean, if the court wants to assess those now, do you have other resources to pay everything in full, sir? Yes. It's bad luck to come to court without money. Judge Line has told me that.
Well, here we are, the matter's resolved. The victim seems amenable. Ms. Gillis and Mr. Murray have done their best to work out a deal. So what we will do, since it's delayed for 2 months, the court will assess the $200 in cost, sir, and then the $945 for the victim in this matter. I don't know if you say you're going to deposit it here with the court and then have the court remit it versus mailing it directly to the victim. That's something we can work out the finer points of. So, well, I'm putting on here $945 in restitution and then the $200 in cost. And Mr. Bowles, so long as you paid those two amounts in 60 days, the court will review the file for administrative dismissal. Anything else on behalf of the people? His name is Andrew Hodges, and we have the address as it appears in the police report is listed on the prosecutor's witness list as an address in Ohio. I won't read out the entirety of it, but. Okay. Anything else, ma'am? Anything else, Mr. Murray?
Satisfied, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Good luck to you, sir. Oops, sorry, it came down fast. I'll see you at 2:30 or get Miss Bailey back in here at 2:30.
Well, you shouldn't be in court on vacation, that's for sure.
I had vacation the last 2 weeks in July. And
Don't say that.
I always take 3 weeks off.
Awesome. That's the way to live.
Place to go.
Hey.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
See you guys, Mary Ann. See you later.
I'm sure I'll see you soon.
You know it. Excellent. So 13 years old, learned from 7th grade, 3 national wrestling titles in 2022. Now he's 20 years old. Which I'm not a baseball fan. Absolutely.
Make sure you, and save that receipt.
You got it. Thank you, Jane. But he loves it, and that's what it's about. I love violence, but, you know.
What are you gonna do when you decide, well, maybe I like baseball better?
I'll accept it. I did.
Remember when I told you when he was born?
Yeah.
Don't push.
Well, here's my thing. If he were to decide to do one thing or the other or nothing at all, that's his business. My job is to get him successful. He's on the right track. And he's on the right track. Oh, by the way, on Saturday, do you know Danny Chapman, not Jimmy Chapman, but Doug Chapman? Yeah. He's a much different kind of person. Yeah, he lives in his mom and dad's house. Exactly. So Chapman was in the military, he knows a lot about prosecuting, so he knew straight. And he sent a video to Rich, high school lesson. And while you're training at CC, for 5 years, right? And so. I heard the process parents from the old CC. He said, well, wait, yeah. And I said, yes, how's your son's? Good, good. One in Chicago was a lawyer, right? I got that right. Nope. Okay. Oh, he went to the police academy. Did he change on us? Yeah, he got hired at Dearborn, and after 6 weeks, he didn't know I can't do this. He said, this is just. Oh. Yeah. He said, yeah, no, I get it. Yeah. So now he's probably making 4 times, you know, he's a mortgage broker. So is he that Michigan? Yeah, Roy Oak. He lives in Roy Oak. If I need a mortgage, is that okay? If you want to my refi, you know, leasing today is not the way. In today's world. Yeah. Try to steal this for that. Oh, yeah. Remember that? Oh, yeah. You know what? I don't have one yet. But I'll get you. Okay. You have no mortgage. Capital mortgage, yeah. What's your son's phone number? Derek Brooks. Derek Brooks, yeah, that's awesome. He's number 2 salesman. That's awesome, yeah. My daughter's a nurse practitioner, but she doesn't want. Well, either she's smarter than you or I. She married the right guy. She's smarter than you or I. You're right. Hey, all I can tell you is that the women I've been involved cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't regret it, right? But you know, it's about my sandwich. Yes. I know the feeling. Hey, it's nice. Good seeing you. 29 years as a lawyer, I can't believe it. Yeah, and that's all I'm saying. You know how you've been here 10 years now? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you've been. Voice. That's very nice. Lots of space. Yeah. So now we're 94. Okay.
She's right outside. Should I get her?
Yeah, let me grab my secretary.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, generally. Yeah, it's not a reason to withhold anything or stop anything today, it's just.
Yeah, I'll look into it, and if it's not there, I'll just get it to you ASAP.
I did some last summer, but just a handful.
I'll give you the easy ones.
That's what they say. I did not. If you could, please.
All right. Third Court District Court now in session, now police mark.
You may be seated. This is 220253FY. This is State of Michigan versus Kiana Brown. May I have your appearances, please?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Bryn Bailey on behalf of the people, P84009. And Your Honor, at this time, I would be asking the clerk to hear a motion from Ms. Getz.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Emily Gertz on behalf of the people requesting permission to practice pursuant to NCR 8.120 under the direct supervision of APA Bryn Bailey, P number 84009.
Could you spell your last name for me, please?
GERDS.
Any objection from the defense?
And good afternoon, Your Honor, Reverend Terry Johnson, P70773 on behalf of Ms. Kiana Brown, who's present, seated to my right, and as far as the motion, I have no objection, Your Honor.
Thank you. The court will grant your motion, Ms. Gertz, and thank you for your appearance, Mr. Johnson. Would you state your name for me, please, ma'am?
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Today is the day and time set for the,
Oh, I'm sorry.
no, sir,
There's a date time set for exam, and we, on behalf of Ms. Brown, we are ready to proceed.
As Mr. Johnson indicated, today is the day and time set for the preliminary examination in this matter. There is count 1, assault with dangerous weapon, count 2, felony firearm. Are the people ready to proceed?
We are, Your Honor.
Any preliminary matters, ma'am?
No, not at this time.
Any preliminary matters, sir?
Your Honor, I don't see anyone in the courtroom, but if someone were to walk in, I just ask for a mutual sequestration in case someone may testify either today or potentially the trial downtown.
Absolutely, sir.
Your Honor, one moment. Can we ask for an exception for the officer in charge?
Officer in charge is always allowed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Your first witness, ma'am.
The people called Damian Willingham.
Mr. Willingham, you're going to come all the way up to this podium right here for me, please. You're going to take gum out of your mouth.
It is gone.
It's gone. Thank you. State your first and last name and then spell it for me, please.
Damian Willingham, Damian Willinghamgham.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you much. You're going to come up here, have a seat in this purple chair for me, please. Mary Ann is taking down your testimony. If for some reason she can't hear you, I'll ask you to either raise your voice or pull the microphone closer. Your witness, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Willingham, I'm going to take you back to March 29th, 2022. Were you driving southbound on I-275 near Sibley Road?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that in Huron Township
Sure, yes,
in Wayne County, Michigan?
yes.
And as you were driving, what, if anything, did you observe?
What do you mean?
So as you were driving down in that area, Sibley Road on I-275, did you observe anything strange? What was happening as you were driving? Anything unusual?
I mean, I was just in the fast lane driving and a car was coming up behind me fairly fast.
Okay, so that car that was coming up behind you fairly fast, what, if anything, did they do or did you do in response to that car coming up fast?
I got into the center lane once they approached the backside of my car.
Okay, you recall? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Mr. Willingham, she is having trouble picking you up.
How about now? Better? Okay, so I was in the fast lane. In the third lane, I seen a car coming up behind me fairly fast. So then I got into the center lane once the car come up close to me behind me so they could pass me.
Okay,
Once
let me stop you there. Do you recall how many lanes are on that highway?
3.
Okay, and so you were in the center lane at that, you moved over from the fast lane to the center lane, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, so that they could pass you in the fast lane, is that
Yes.
correct? Okay, and then what happened?
once they passed me, I was approaching a car in the center lane. So once they passed me, gave me enough room to get back over, I had did that. And I got back behind them.
Okay, so now you've gotten back in the fast lane behind the car that you allowed to pass, is that correct? Okay, and then what happened?
We kind of drove a little further, then she checked, like brake checked me. I slammed on the brake, so I backed off. And then we get back in the center lane, she stayed in front of me.
Okay, let me stop you there. So when you say brake check, what do you mean by that?
She like hit her brakes.
Okay, is that a sudden
Yeah.
brake stop? Okay.
Yeah.
And are you able to describe this vehicle?
And that was a small car. I mean, it's a couple months ago now.
Okay, a
I don't
small
remember.
vehicle. Do you remember the color?
It was not very dark color, like a lightish color. I believe it was a Chevy.
Okay, okay. And could you, at any point, like, up until this point, have you been able to see into the car at all?
Not really. I just noticed there's 2 people in it.
Okay, so let's go back. So you were in the fast lane, you moved to the center, now you're back in the fast lane behind the car.
Yes, ma'am.
And what happened at that point? You said you were being brake checked,
Yeah,
correct?
she brake checked me.
Okay,
So we both slowed down. I got over in the center lane.
I'm gonna object at this point, Your Honor, when witnesses said we both slowed down. I'm not sure who the other person is.
She did. She brake checked me.
Mr. Willingham, what happens is, I know this is going to seem weird. When one of the attorneys says objections, you start talking, you don't respond to them. I make a decision about the objection and I'll turn back to you and say either, yes, you may answer, or I'll ask one of the attorneys to ask you a different question, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Your response to his objection.
Your Honor, it's his visual observation. If he saw the car slow down, then that's what he observed.
Your Honor, I'm just saying both. I'm not sure who both is. If we can get a clarification on both, I think that would suffice.
Thank you. Mr. Willingham, when you say we both slowed down, who are you referring to?
Me, myself, and her. The
Her?
driver that was in front of me.
Thank you.
Okay. So at that time, you slowed down, after the brake checking, you slowed down and the car we've been referring to as the other car also slowed down, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happened?
We merged over in the center lane and we're slowing down even more.
Okay, so again, when you say we, so you mean you and the other car
Yes.
that we've been referring to. So you moved over into the center lane now?
Yep.
And speed decreased even more. Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay. And then what occurred?
So that happened for a second, and then she picked back up. So
Okay.
then I picked back up.
Okay, and you mean, when you say pick back up, you mean in speed, is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then what, if anything, occurred?
A few seconds later, me and her both started slowing down again because she had slowed down in front of me.
Okay, you're both still in the same lane, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay,
And now at that point, we're like going back and forth, like she's trying to get me to stop.
Objection, calls for speculation.
Objection sustained.
so the other vehicle that's in front of you, you both slowed down again, correct? You
Yes, ma'am.
and the other vehicle. Did the other vehicle change lanes at all?
She changed lanes with me, yes.
Okay, so when you say she changed lanes with you, did you move out of the center lane?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and at that time, what lane did the other car move into? The same lane you changed
The
into?
car that I'm involved with,
Yes.
yes, she changed lanes with me. We went back and forth from the center lane to the first lane.
And at that point, is this other car still in front of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How many times did you and this other car change lanes, would you say?
Couple times.
Okay. More than twice?
Yeah, maybe twice, maybe 3 times. Wasn't much more than that.
Okay. At any point, could you see into the car, or were you given a visual into the car?
No, I was behind it, had tinted windows, so I'm not seeing the car.
Okay. What happened as you moved down the road?
So once all that started happening again, then I see her hand come out the window and something's in it.
Okay, when you say you saw her hand come out of the window was rolled down.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what if anything, did you observe in her hand?
I believe it was a pistol.
Okay. Which hand? Do you
I
recall?
really couldn't tell. I
Okay,
mean, it's kind of hard.
Which
You know,
side?
Come out of the driver's side.
The driver's side? Okay. Were you able to, I'm sorry, the front or the back?
The front window, driver's window.
And were you able to see the driver?
Not clearly,
Okay, can you describe any characteristics about the driver?
not necessarily, no.
Okay, but you did see that driver with what you believe is a handgun, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And where was that? Was it pointed in any direction? Do you recall?
It was more or less, like one of these type deals.
All right, so the record is clear. Can we get can we get clarification so the record doesn't like say one of these deals?
Well, it was more or less pointing it out the window, pointing it back towards my car. Like letting me know that she has the gun.
Objection to letting me know at this point, Your Honor, again, false or speculation.
Your Honor, Bryn Bailey on behalf of the people, P84009, let the record reflect that the witness took his right hand, extended it over his left shoulder, and started waving it around up and down, pointing backwards.
And your response to his objection?
To the speculation, Your Honor, I believe that it is his opinion of what was occurring. I don't think it's speculation.
Your Honor, it's not what was occurring. It was the fact that the witness talked about what the driver was intending to happen. That's the speculation.
The objection is sustained. Ma'am, you want to rephrase your question?
The handgun that you saw, was that pointed towards your vehicle from your viewpoint?
It kind of seemed that way, yes.
Were you afraid at that point?
Yes.
Nothing further.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Willingham?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Terry Johnson. I represent Ms. Brown. I'm going to be asking a few questions here, and at any time you don't understand my questions, may I?
Absolutely.
Thank you. At any time you don't understand my question, just stop me and I'll rephrase it, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Madam Prosecutor, I asked you a question about this happening somewhere around Sibley Road, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but let me go back. Where were you coming from that day?
It's coming off of 94 from Ann Arbor. It's coming from work.
Okay, from off, so you're on 94. Is it safe to say you were traveling east on
East.
94?
Yes.
And you get on 275 south, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is it fair to say that's the time that you first encountered the driver of this car?
No,
You did not encounter the driver at that point.
no, sir.
When did you encounter the driver of this point? And let me remind you, sir, that you are under oath.
Yes, sir.
Okay, when did you encounter the driver at that point?
When
First
I
time?
noticed this person the very first time, we were on 275 going south.
Okay, on 275, so you didn't notice the person on 94, correct?
No, sir.
Where on Interstate 275 did you first notice this car?
Like I said, it would have to be in between. Not really sure what roads are there, but I believe Sibley is like exit maybe 13, 14 maybe. And we end up stopping on exit 11. So I mean, it would have to be right there within Sibley. There's a couple other crossroads there, correct, that come across 275?
So my question is, you're telling me today that you first noticed this car around Sibley Road, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you remember giving, you see this gentleman in the back there with the glasses on, with the beard?
Yes, sir.
You know who that is?
I had a cop that I talked to at the police department.
Okay. And you talked to him, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember making a statement to him that you don't know where this happened on 275? You weren't sure exactly where this was? You remember
Because
that?
I'm not familiar with the area.
It's not my question. Do you remember telling him you don't know where exactly this happened on I-275?
Yes, sir.
You remember saying that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that was on March 9th, correct? Of this year.
Sure.
And 3 months later, you come in today into court and you basically are saying it happened between this point and this point.
She said general area.
I'm asking you a question, not what she said, what you said.
I guess you can say that. You're right.
I did say it. Would you agree with me?
Yes.
Okay. So when you made this statement to the lieutenant, and for the record, Lieutenant Bettendorf, thank you. For the record, you told him you're not sure where this happened, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Because when you first encountered this car, is it fair to say that you were well north of Sibley Road?
Let's see. Where does the construction actually come back to regular highway? Because once you get off of 94 on the 275, there's construction. I would say maybe a mile or two up the road
Okay.
is when it actually opens up to 3 lanes.
Maybe,
Maybe, yes.
but you're not sure.
No, sir.
Okay.
I'm not very.
And you
familiar with the area.
you remember the lieutenant saying to you, asking you questions about, did you notice any signs or anything?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. Did you notice, were there, in the median, did you notice trees and other things like that? You remember the detective asking you that question?
Yeah.
You remember what you said?
Not entirely, no.
Would it be safe to say that you said, I don't remember anything about exactly where I was at? Do you remember saying that?
Very possible, yes.
Okay.
I was in the middle of a road rage with somebody in front of me pointing a gun at me. So I'm not really worried about exactly my surroundings.
And let's talk about this road rage with someone in front of you, correct? Okay, so the person's in front of you, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
After she passed me.
Sir, thank you. There's no question before you. This person is in front of you, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And it's did you attempt to get off of I-275 at any point?
No.
Where were you going that day?
Home. Well, actually, I was going to get my kid, but yes.
Yeah, going to get your kid. Where was your child at?
Off Dixie Highway in Nadeau, so I would be.
Dixie Highway and
Nadeau,
which is in what city?
I believe it's Frenchtown Township.
Right. Matter of fact, you were in a rush to get to your child from who was at daycare, correct?
I'm a typically 78-mile-an-hour driver. I'm a construction.
You're a 78-mile-an-hour driver. Do you know the speed limit on I-275?
70,
So you admit you were breaking the law?
yes.
Okay. And what do you do when someone isn't going the typical 78 miles an hour that you go? What do you do?
Usually back off a little bit and let that person get back up.
One more time, sir?
I would typically, if we're in the fast lane and they're not doing 70 miles an hour, I'll back off. Let them get over, and then I would continue my speed.
And if they don't get over, what do you do?
Just stay behind them a little bit.
Okay. And in this case, is that what you did?
She was behind me. She approached me.
I'm asking you a question. At some point, just so I understand, at some point, this vehicle passed you. Is that correct? Yes or no?
Yes,
Okay. And after this vehicle passed you, you were behind this vehicle, correct?
yes.
How fast were you going?
Probably about 70 because I was already slowing down from the car that was in the center lane that I was approaching.
Okay, so you were slowing down.
Yes.
Okay. And you're in, according to your testimony, you're in the middle lane. Is that correct?
As she's passing me, yes.
And then you jump behind this car in the left lane, correct?
After she passes me, yes.
Okay. How fast is this car now going that you are behind?
Couldn't really tell you an honest answer.
Was it going fast enough for you? Was it going your typical 78 miles an hour, which is 8 miles
I
over the
don't
speed
believe
limit?
that I had reached that because I was already below. I was already braking. So, you know, I don't know what you're trying to get out of me.
I just want the truth.
I'm telling you.
That's all I'm asking, sir.
Yes, sir.
So you're going down the highway and you're at 70 miles an hour. How close would you say you are to the back of this vehicle that you can't describe?
Her vehicle, maybe,
I didn't say her vehicle. I said this vehicle that you can't describe.
well, now that you got me thinking about it, I want to say it was like a light grayish color. Maybe white.
White?
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't remember.
And let me ask this question. How close are you to this white vehicle?
I said maybe.
This may be white vehicle.
Let's stick with the light gray.
How close are you to the vehicle in front of you that you are behind in the left?
Probably about a car.
A car lane. Okay. And at some point, just so I'm clear, the window rolls down on this car that's in front of you. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you stated that the windows were tinted, correct?
I believe so, yes.
And you stated that you couldn't see inside the vehicle, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Can you explain to me how you can make a determination that a gun came out of someone's right hand and went around their body and pointed back at you if you can't see inside the vehicle? Can you tell me how that happened?
Well, I guess how anything else would happen.
Not
The
happening.
hand come out of the driver's window.
How many hands do people have? Most
Two.
people, so.
Two.
So left hand and a right hand, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but you were very specific to say a right hand because this young lady asked you that, right?
Your Honor, objection. This witness actually said he didn't know which hand, he just happened to gesture with his right hand making the movement. He never actually testified that it was the right hand. He couldn't rightly tell her, and that's what he testified to. So the objection is one, that defense counsel is misstating the testimony.
Your Honor, in response to that, it was asked because I did object and I asked that the record be made clear. And the witness used his right hand and came across his body. That's what he used. The witness did not take his left hand and go like this. And for the record, I'm extending my left hand as if it's coming out of the car window. The witness specifically said, basically,
hand across the body. And my question to the witness is very simple. If the windows are tinted, how can you see a right hand come across the body? So I don't believe I'm mischaracterizing the witness's statement.
Well, Your Honor, I think that that's not the question that Mr. Johnson is asking. Additionally, over 75% of the American population is right-handed. This witness could be using his right hand simply because he's right-handed, just like if I were testifying, I might use my left hand. Why? Because I'm left-handed. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's exactly what he saw, and so Mr. Johnson should clarify his question and ask it in an appropriate manner that doesn't mischaracterize what this witness has already testified to.
Your objection is overruled. It's not a mischaracterization. It's exactly what Mr. Willingham testified to. And I believe Mr. Johnson's questions are going towards being more specific about Mr. Willingham's impressions about which hand was used and the gun out of the window and whatever else. So Mr. Johnson, you can pick your questions back up, please, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Willingham, how can you see through a tinted window a hand, a right hand, come across someone's body and point something out the window?
You cannot.
Okay. But you testified to that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So that wasn't true.
Well, once again, I mean, it's, how else is she gonna point the gun back? You're not gonna do it with a left hand while you're trying to drive.
Well, let's talk about that. Just so I'm clear, this gun, according to you, comes across this person's body, correct?
Yes.
Do you see the person turn their head back towards the vehicle, towards your vehicle?
I mean, I guess you didn't say.
I don't want you to
no.
guess, sir. My question is very simple. Did
No.
you see?
No.
You did not see someone turn their head around. Okay. And this gun was never pointed at you with emphasis on at, correct?
Well, I seen a side view of it, then it kind of went narrow, like straight with me.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand your testimony. You're going 70 miles an hour, and it's your testimony that someone that you can't see comes across their body with the right hand, puts a gun out the window at 70 miles an hour, and you don't see them turn around and they point a gun directly at you. Is that your testimony?
No.
Was a gun
Can you ask
pointed
the question
directly
one more
at you?
time? I have to say exactly what you just said.
Sir, was the gun pointed at you?
I kind of, yes, it did seem that way, yes.
It seemed that way.
Yes, if I can see the side of a gun, that's what it appeared to be. And then all of a sudden it kind of just like disappeared a little bit. Because now it's like an arrow, it's parallel, you know, it's not parallel.
And what did, and assuming that happened, what did you do at that point?
I hit the brakes.
You hit the brakes.
Well, yeah,
Okay. And what happened after you hit the brakes?
she kind of slowed down with me.
The car's in front of you.
Is that
Yes?
yes?
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay, you have to say yes or no
Okay, I'm sorry.
because
I
this
apologize.
lady is taking notes and and do not translate well on the record,
Yes,
okay?
sir.
No problem. All right, so the person in front of you stopped or slowed down after this gun comes up, correct?
Yes, because I hit the brakes.
Because you hit the brakes.
Yes.
Okay. What do you do then?
Once I hit the brakes, she slows down with me, I get in the first.
And when you say the first lane, can we clarify that as the lane furthest to the right?
Yes.
Okay, what does this car do? The car that allegedly, pointed the gun at you with the body
She
around,
slows down with me, gets back in front of me.
gets in front of you,
Yes. Switches lanes with me.
with you. Okay. Are there shoulders on this road?
Yes.
Did you stop?
No.
How long does this go on?
Maybe a mile, couple miles or so.
Couple miles or so?
Yes.
How about in terms of time?
not really thinking about time. Things happen fast.
I understand.
It could have been a minute, maybe 3. You're not
It's
thinking about-
78 miles an hour, like, well,
I don't
I
even think-
withdraw that, I'm sorry.
I don't even think we made it back, to be honest.
One more time, sir.
I don't even think we made it back up to that speed.
You said we.
She was with me the entire time.
How slow are you going?
We went from.
Not me, you.
I went from, like I said, 70 to about 70, got to go over, so now we're back down to probably about 60, 50, we speed back up, that's when the gun comes out, we slow back down. I mean, we went anywhere from 40 miles an hour to 70 miles an hour.
So let me get this right. You're at 70 to 60 to 50, now the gun comes out at 50.
I couldn't tell you what speed she was going.
That's what you just said.
No, I did not, that is not what I just said.
I'll let the court take judicial notice of the witness's testimony.
You want me to say it again?
No further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Any redirect, ma'am?
No,
Thank you. Mr. Willingham, that completes your testimony, sir. You may step down. Thank you very much.
People call Lieutenant Bettendorf.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
First and last name, say it and then spell it for me.
Jonathan Bettendorf, Bettendorf.
Do you swear affirm testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you much. Come up here, please. Have a seat in this purple chair. Mary Ann is taking down your testimony. If she can't hear you, I'll ask you to raise your voice or move the microphone closer, okay? Your witness, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor. Lieutenant Bettendorf, where are you currently employed?
I'm a lieutenant with the Huron Township Police Department,
And how long have you been with the Huron Township Police Department?
22 years.
You said you're a lieutenant?
Correct.
Okay, so what does your role consist of as a lieutenant?
I'm the detective lieutenant. I'm the head of the detective bureau at Huron Township Police Department.
And were you working in that capacity on March 29th, 2022?
I was.
And were you given a report or asked to investigate an incident that occurred on I-275 near Sibley Road?
I was.
And is that in Huron Township,
It is.
Wayne County?
Yes.
And at some point, were you asked to, or did you conduct an interview in relation to that incident?
I did.
And who did you interview in that?
Kenyatta Brown.
And do you see that individual in the courtroom today?
Just to make sure. Yes.
Can you describe something they're wearing or where they're seated, perhaps?
They're sitting with the defense attorney over there at that table.
Your Honor, please let the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant.
No objection for exam purposes only.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor. And so Lieutenant Bettendorf, what happened during that interview?
So I was called to the booking room. That's where Officer Lalovich was with Miss Brown, booking her. I read her Miranda rights verbatim from our form and asked her if she understood. And she stated yes, and immediately went in to tell me her side of what occurred. She advised me that she was driving on 275 and that there was a road rage incident. And she told me that she did pull out her weapon, but never pointed it out of the vehicle. At one point, I asked her how the vehicle that was behind her would know that she had the firearm. And she did not have an answer. I asked her because she has tinted windows. And I asked her if the vehicle ever passed her. She stated no. I asked her how he would have seen it, and she didn't have an answer. I asked her if she felt it was seen in the mirror, and she stated yes.
But the defendant did admit to being involved as one of the two vehicles. in the
Yes,
incident,
yes,
correct? Okay.
yes.
And the defendant did admit to having a weapon in her possession.
Objection leading. Sorry, Your Honor, leading.
I'll rephrase.
Thank you.
You mentioned a weapon, or that the defendant mentioned a weapon. Did the defendant indicate at all that that weapon was inside the vehicle with her?
Yes, she advised that she pulled it out of her waistband.
Okay. What, if anything, did you do next? I'm sorry. I'll rephrase that question. At some point, were you made aware that there was video footage, or was there footage in relation to this incident?
Yes, her wife had a cell phone, which she gave me consent to search. That cell phone was turned over to Lieutenant Gerard, who was able to do a forensic dump on that phone. And he was able to show me the video of an incident. During the incident, I could view Miss Brown. I couldn't see her face, but I could see her body. The firearm was in her possession. I did not ever see the firearm go out of the vehicle. I only seen it in her possession, holding it parallel chest high. And in the background, I could see the Peterbilt factory, which is located in Huron Township, Michigan, just south of Pennsylvania Road, between Pennsylvania and Sibley Road.
And the phone you viewed the incident on, you
Correct.
said was the defendant's wife?
Correct.
Is that correct? Her phone?
Yes.
Okay. And was that individual there that day, the day of the incident?
She was in the passenger seat.
I'm going to object. I'm sorry, I couldn't get clarification. I didn't know who the individual and she is.
Yep, I will clarify. So the individual's cell phone that you were viewing the incident on was the defendant's wife's phone?
Correct.
Was the defendant's wife at the incident that day?
She was in the passenger seat.
Okay. I have nothing further. Thank you.
Mr. Johnson, your witness.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Lieutenant.
Good afternoon.
Okay, Lieutenant, you also, when you interviewed my client, you found out that she does have a concealed pistol license, correct?
She does.
Okay, you were made aware of that, right?
Yes.
Okay, there are no warrants or wants in lien for her, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Talked about this video that you saw. So you saw the Peterbilt factory, correct?
I did.
Okay. Said you didn't see a gun come out at that time, correct?
I did not.
Okay. You never saw a gun come out?
I did
correct?
not.
Okay. Matter of fact, let me take you back here. You don't know where this started, do you?
I do not.
As a matter of fact, isn't it true that when you arrived upon the scene, that you made a statement regarding, did this happen here? Did it happen in Romulus? Something along those lines? You were unsure, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Matter of fact, you asked Mr. Willingham about trees and things in the median, or someone from your department did, correct?
Yes.
Because you were unsure, correct?
Yeah, we were trying to determine where the incident actually occurred because we were not sure if it happened. Pennsylvania is the border for Huron Township and Romulus. We were not sure if it happened before Pennsylvania or after Pennsylvania, which would change the venue.
Correct.
And the Peterbilt is actually the reason that we took the report, the video.
Right. But at that point where the Peterbilt is, you may have seen road rage, but you did not see felonious assault or felony firearm, correct?
I've never seen felonious assault or felony firearm.
Okay. And you asked the witness more than one witness, I'm sorry, Mr. Willingham, the complainant, more than one time, where did this happen? And he could not give you a place, correct?
This is correct.
Okay. Also, did Mr. Willingham advise you that he acted into his spot in his child in Down the river, Monroe area?
Yeah, he advised he had to pick up his child, so he had to leave. So I only got to speak with him for a very short period of time.
Did he appear to be in a rush?
He did.
Did he give you a time that he was supposed to be there to pick up his child?
That I don't recall.
Let me ask it a different way. Is it safe to say, even at the time of the incident, the distance between where this allegedly happened and where he had to go looked like he was probably going to be late under normal traffic circumstances?
I don't remember. I don't recall that. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Do you involve were any other jurisdictions involved? State police?
No.
City of Romulus?
I believe they were given the information, but we ended up taking the report, so I don't believe they were involved.
What do you mean given the information?
I think that our dispatch contacted their dispatch during the initial investigation, but we then advised that we'd be taking the report.
After you took the report, did you consult with Romulus and say, hey, I didn't see anything here? Is there something back here that you guys may have seen?
I did not.
Okay. So state police were involved, Romulus wasn't involved. What about the county sheriff?
No, we did not speak with any of them.
How long, if you remember, was this video that my client's wife reported?
I don't recall fully.
You would agree with me, however, that it started well before this Peterbilt plant or Peterbilt building that you mentioned.
Objection, Your Honor, best evidence rule.
I'm not sure of the objection, Your Honor. Can I get a clarification?
Well, Your Honor, he's asking the witness to testify about something that the best evidence, he's already testified, I don't recall how long the video was. I'm sure this officer would recognize it if we showed it to him, but the best evidence rule indicates that if we have a better documentation, that we're supposed to use that.
If the court would like, I have no problems playing the video in its entirety, which I do not believe is that long. I want to say it's 5 or 6 minutes, but don't.
16.
Oh, 16 minutes.
16 and a half minutes.
That's the video of what?
That is the video that is taken by a cell phone in a passenger seat of a vehicle.
I will stick to that. I will withdraw my question and I will ask another point, Your Honor.
Okay.
Sir, it's been stipulated to that there is a 16-minute video of an incident. Would you agree with that?
I do not remember.
That's fine. Let me ask you a question. How long does it take to get from 275 and 94 to what street
No.
were you?
Your Honor, I'm going to object.
May I finish my, oh, go ahead.
So, Your Honor, again, we have the best evidence rule here. He's having seen the video, opposing counsel's questions are inaccurate and are going to give a bad reflection of the evidence.
I believe Mr. Johnson's, sorry.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Mr. Johnson's question to Lieutenant Bettendorf was how long, you cut him off, but I think he was going to ask from that 275-94 to the Sibley or somewhere, you didn't even get that far. I think that was the question, which is something that Lieutenant can answer irrespective of the contents of the video. Are we going to watch 16-minute video?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Your question was just about the time of travel from
Point A to point B, 275 and 94 to, and so we're clear, what road was my client pulled over on?
On South Huron Road.
On South Huron Road.
Yes.
So yes, Your Honor, that is my question, if I may ask.
Absolutely.
How long does it take to get from 275 and 94 under normal traffic conditions to Huron Township Road?
South Huron.
South Huron Road.
South Huron Road, yes.
How long?
Do you want an approximate? I can-
Approximate,
5 minutes?
5 minutes. Not 16.
Correct.
Okay. When you looked at this video, did you look at, I'm assuming you looked at the entire 16 minutes.
I do not recall that video being 16.
I don't either, but that's okay. We're gonna go with it for right
Okay.
now, okay? Do you recall seeing things that are reflective of Romulus, the city of Romulus?
I only remember the Peterbilt.
Okay, that's not my question.
Okay, then no, I don't remember seeing anything.
Is it safe to say, when you were reviewing this video, you were only looking for things that are in Huron Township, so you can establish venue? Is that a fair and accurate statement?
That is a fair and accurate statement.
Okay, so you never looked to see if there is something that started in Romulus, correct?
I looked to try to establish venue for our location.
Yes.
So that would encompass everything, the check from Romulus to see if it was in Romulus or in Huron Township.
And you looked at the entire video, correct?
Yes,
And you never saw a gun come out, correct?
I did not.
You never saw somebody take their right hand and whip it around the body and go through a,
I did not.
okay. Almost done, Your Honor. Did my client admit to pointing a gun?
No, she did not.
Did, other than Mr. Willingham, our fast driver, did anyone else admit to pointing a gun?
No.
And during that course of the video, just so I'm clear, you never saw anybody point a gun, correct?
I did not.
No further questions, thank you.
I do have a
Back,
record,
ma'am.
Honor.
Your Honor, may I
I'm muted.
approach?
Absolutely. No.
I'm just trying to get clarification. because it's kind of- Okay. You have the book's okay. I'm with you. You're on that note, I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay.
Lieutenant, we've talked a lot about a video that was taken from the passenger seat of the defendant's car, right?
Right,
Would you recognize that video if I showed it to you?
I would.
Okay, you're on a permission to share screen?
Yes, ma'am.
It'll be right there. So, officer, or I'm sorry, lieutenant, do you recognize this?
Can you play it?
Yep, I will play a little bit of it. And then we'll go from there.
That way I got proof that he was riding my ass and why I had to.
Yes,
That's the video that
that
you
is
were-
the video I watched.
And that's the video that was provided to you by the defendant's wife.
Correct.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of the video that was pulled from the defendant's wife's phone?
I would have to see the entirety to say that, I guess.
What you have seen, is that a fair and accurate?
Yes,
Has it been changed or altered in any way?
from the portion I've seen, no.
Your Honor, at this time, the people would be moving for the admission of the People's One. The exhibit, as it is labeled on evidence.com is CPL, capital ADD, 5MG, uppercase F, 6, uppercase K, uppercase U, lowercase k, uppercase R, Q, 4, lowercase h, uppercase L, O, lowercase a, uppercase z, lowercase c, d, s, uppercase f, lowercase f, uppercase c, m, t, o, r, dot, lowercase m, o, time, I'd move for the admission.
I thought the parties had already stipulated
To the length
to
of the video, Your Honor, I'm not
just the
sure.
length. Mr. Johnson, your response.
The prosecution would like to admit it, and as long as I'm able to ask questions regarding it, I have no objections whatsoever.
Permission to play?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, so we're clear, are we playing the entire 16-minute and 38-second video?
I plan on stopping it right around 4 minutes.
I was gonna say, it's 3:23 right now. The exams are usually a half an hour apiece, so I would expect us not to go too much longer on
I
this.
did plan on stopping it right around 4 minutes, Your Honor, for the extent of my redirect.
That way I got proof that he was riding my ass and why I had to pull out my pistol because I went around y'all, got him behind y'all, then here he is, he want to ride my ass now. Then I had to pull out my gun in order for him to fucking stop. So let that be known. I wasn't in the scene and I wasn't in the car by myself. That's what I wanted him to see. Right there. If he lying up there, he got to get it out my way. Just let it be known. Just let it be known. That it's 2 against 1. Just let it be known. I'm not playing with the motherfucker like this. I got kids. It's the only car I got in love. That one right there. If I put in hotel, what you gonna do? What do you want to do? Come back a little closer to my husband to see your ass, bitch. I'm going slow on purpose. I want him to see that I'm not in this car by myself. So let's make it be known. If you want to throw out a police report, I'll slow the bitch all the way the fuck down. I don't give a fuck. That's what we know. I'm getting back over. I have to come up on there after this guy. I get to shoot. Don't feel bad, goddamn it. Don't feel bad, goddamn it. I sure don't. Come on, come on, the gangster. Make sure you keep them recording. Just in case you come up there and do some dumb shit. I'm not the motherfucking one, nigga. Oh shit. I told you them brakes going bad. See about the moment.
And let the record reflect that I have stopped 3 minutes and 12 seconds into the video. Detective Benmore, did you ever see the defendant in that video?
I did not.
So there's no way for you to know what the defendant was doing while this video is being recorded.
No.
No further questions.
Yes, sir.
You saw. You just saw a video, correct?
Correct.
Where did that start?
It started in Romulus, I believe. As it started, it passes under Pennsylvania Road.
Okay, it started in Romulus, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So my client, you hear adamantly on the video saying, told me, but I'm paraphrasing. I'm showing this is why I didn't pull my pistol. You heard
Your
this,
Honor, I'm
right?
going to object because he said he's paraphrasing, he's not quoting, and it's also hearsay.
How is it hearsay that's been admitted in evidence?
Your Honor, I couldn't tell what was being said.
Your Honor,
So unless
just because she
Mr.
can't.
Johnson wants to get a transcript of what exactly was said in this video, I can't hear it and he can't paraphrase.
Your Honor, the statement was, this is why I didn't pull my pistol. That was stated. If the prosecution, I'm not sure about their hearing issues, but it can be replayed. I'm not going to go back and waste the court's time on this. However, did my client admit to pulling a pistol?
No.
Did you see my client pull a pistol at any point on that?
Are you saying, because her pistol is out, so it's pulled, are you saying out of the car or are you?
Did you see my client reach around with her right hand and pull and put a gun outside the window? Yes or no?
No.
But this started in Romulus, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So is it safe to say during the time that this happened, that you noticed in the township, in Huron Township, you didn't see any gun being pulled, correct? Or pointed out of the window?
Thank you. No.
Thank you. No further questions.
Permission to stop share, Your Honor?
Yes. Anything else?
No.
Thank you, Lieutenant Bettendorf. You may step down. Your next witness, ma'am.
People rest.
Anything from the defense?
Nothing, thank you, Your Honor.
Argument, ma'am.
So, Your Honor, the first thing that people would like to argue would be MCL 600.8312.4, parentheses 4. I apologize, Your Honor, which does state venue and what is commonly known as the long arm statute does allow for a 1 mile radius in between jurisdictions for various polices to be able to take jurisdiction and the venue still to be proper and the jurisdiction to still be proper. That would be my first argument, Your Honor. Secondly, we have a witness who stated, I saw a gun come out of a window and it was waved around and pointed back at me. That's the testimony that we have. We heard this, Mr. Willingham state, I backed off, I kept moving lanes, this other car kept moving lanes along with me and pointed a gun at me. I stopped, slowed down, tried to move away, and I continued on my business. We see a video given to police by the defendant's own wife that shows clearly a handgun in her right hand, and then it doesn't focus on what's going on over here. It focuses on what's going on in the rear view mirror. It answers absolutely no questions. It doesn't indicate that she never pointed the gun. It doesn't indicate that she did. It's not evidence that shows that that's exculpatory in one way or another. The video is focused on the rear view mirror, and the only thing that it can do is provide Lieutenant Bettendorf with, yeah, I saw things that are Huron Township. I recognized the
Peterbilt.
Thank you. The Peterbilt plant, and that's in Huron Township. Therefore, we have venue, Your Honor. The witness testified that he saw the gun come out of the window, he saw it to the side, and then he saw it come back he described it as parallel, and he could see that it was slim and not the side of the gun. Your Honor, I believe that people have met the burden of proof, and I would ask that this court find over on all counts as charged, and I reserve any further argument for rebuttal.
Absolutely.
Couple of things, Your Honor. First of all, before I get to the complaint in this, prosecution is correct about 1 mile. However, we don't know where that 1 mile starts and ends. Because if we look at this video, there's no, there is no proof where this went on. And that is correct. They have the opportunity to bring something within 1 mile. But I must remind the court, if we are to go down the road of a jury trial, at some point, the people have to prove that a crime happened. As Madam Prosecutor started out, that this happened in the city of, county of, and state of. And that's in every jury instruction where we're looking to, from a criminal perspective. Here, they can't do that. They can't say, I've met the burden and it is here in the city of Huron Township. Their own witness can't tell you, a detective who's been a police officer for 22 years cannot tell you where this happened. As he stated in his own words, I was just looking for something to put it in Huron Township, thereabouts. He saw a Peterbilt building. And when I asked him about Romulus, he saw everything else going on, and you do not see my client putting the gun out the window. Now, the prosecution says in the video, you don't see it, but it doesn't prove one thing, one or the other. Your Honor, she has the burden of proof. She has to show that a crime has been committed. She cannot show that with that video. That video does not show a crime. One, a crime's been committed. And secondly, where was the crime committed? Because we know for sure it did not happen in Huron Township. We know this. But I'm even going to go back to the complainant who, again, Your Honor, credibility does play a role in this. He testified, he couldn't remember the color of the car. I don't care about all of that. What I do care about is the windows were tinted. And he could not see someone come around their body, as he described, and point a gun back. And here's the part that's very interesting, Your Honor. That might be brandishing, but it's sure not felonious assault and felony firearm. Because if we look at this, first of all, my client would have had to have whipped around her body at 70 miles an hour, hand on the wheel, left hand on the wheel, right hand coming back. And if I'm looking forward, because there was no testimony that my client's head turned to the side, she stuck her head out like a dog or anything like that, and looked at the complaining witness and pointed a gun. There's no testimony for that. They have lots of problems with this, Your Honor. And again, my client is a CPL holder. She had her gun. The question becomes, we have a gentleman that is in a rush to go pick up his child many miles away, who tells you he routinely speeds, and on this day, he got behind somebody that he did not like. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna call the cops. You won't let me over, you're gonna tailgate me. Here's the funny thing about this. If he's tailgating and there's a way to go around, why didn't he go around? Why didn't he stop on the shoulder? There were many options, but that's neither here or there. The fact is the people have not shown that a crime has been committed, and more importantly, they cannot show that it happened in Huron Township. And I ask that this court dismiss this case. And again, even with the 1 mile radius, 1 mile to what? If it's the border, we still can look at this and say, where did it happen? Did it happen? And where did it happen? We don't know. In order for this court to bind over, again, just for the record, the people have to show a crime has been committed. They cannot show that. They have to show it was committed in the city of, and they cannot show that. Thank you, Your Honor.
Absolutely.
So, as this court is well aware, I've been in front of Your Honor many a time. It's a probable cause standard. I don't have to meet the burden beyond a reasonable doubt. And everything that Brother Counsel has pointed out to here today sounds like questions of fact for a finder of fact, meaning a trier of fact and a jury, Your Honor. And we have established, Lieutenant Bettendorf, I saw things from Huron Township. The witness said, I think so. This is where it is. Here's the roads that I was between, for the exits that I saw, Huron Township. Your Honor, it's a question of fact for a trier of fact. And if you believe the witness who says, I saw a gun pointed at me, And if you believe him, then we have met our burden. The defendant is a CPL holder. Even brandishing, Your Honor, if you're gonna believe defense counsel, is still something unreasonable that she should not have been doing as a CPL holder. We saw on
I'm
the.
sorry, Your Honor, I low objecting during a remark like this, but my client is not here for brandishing. That's all.
Lesser included. But anyway, Your Honor, people have met their burden. Mr. Willingham testified, I felt afraid. I felt as though she was pointing that gun at me. Did make an assault upon Damian Willingham with a dangerous weapon, a handgun, but without intending to commit the crime of murder or inflict great bodily harm. An assault is an immediate fear or apprehension, oh my goodness, a fear or apprehension of an immediate battery. Someone pointing a gun at you outside of their car window going at 70 to 70 plus miles an hour. That's an assault, Your Honor. And I do believe that people have met their burden, and I would ask the court to bind over on all counts.
This court has had the opportunity to listen to Mr. Willingham and to Lieutenant Bettendorf. And the video is troubling, considering what has been in the news over the last year, the number of gun incidents on the freeway. I don't know what would provoke someone to have their gun out in their hand while they're actively driving, but that's not before this court this afternoon. It is this court's position that the people have in fact met their burden for district court purposes, for the purposes of this preliminary exam, and Ms. Brown will be bound over as charged. Ms. Brown, the next step in these proceedings is an arraignment on the information that will happen on June the 15th, 2022 at 9 a.m. at the Frank Murphy Hall of Justice. Your previously entered bond with any of its conditions is continued. Anything else, Ms. Bailey?
No, Your Honor.
Anything else, Ms. Gertz?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Johnson?
Your Honor, this date, do we know if that's Zoom or?
It's Zoom, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.